What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Lions pull out after a slower first half, scored 27 in the second half to beat the 49ers 40-34 rather. Jared Goff finishing 26 of 34 for 303 yards and 3 touchdowns. But on defense, the star was Kirby Joseph. Had 2 interceptions, 3 if you count the one taken away by penalty. And after that interception was taken away by penalty, he picked it off the immediate next play. Lions moved to 14-2 and are on a collision course with the Vikings in Week 18 for all the marbles. NFC North champion and the number 1 seed in the NFC will be decided in Detroit next week on Sunday Night Football. In Titans news, Brian Callahan spoke to the media yesterday and laid out the game plan for quarterback in the regular season finale against Houston.
I'm actually going to probably play both of them, to be honest. Let those guys both have a chance to play. Don't know when and where that looks like. We're still really early in it, but I think both guys will have some opportunities. I'll let you know by the end of the week, starter, all that stuff. But I think both guys should play some football at the end of the year.
For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome into a Tuesday, New Year's Eve edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We are saying goodbye to 2024 today on the show, at least getting you started in saying goodbye in 2024. Alongside Ramon Foster, we've got Robert Walsh back behind the glass, making it all happen. I'm Kayla Anderson. Will bowling out today. And like I said, we're going to steer you in the right direction as we head into 2025, no matter how you're feeling this morning. Maybe you're down in the dumps because it's not been a good year for your sports team. Maybe it's been a great year for your sports team.
Maybe.
Like the Detroit Lions. And, they've got things still positive, thinking they can win a Super Bowl despite some of the injuries. I was just talking to Ramon before the show came on about a conversation. Love Dan Campbell.
Absolutely.
The teeth, at some point, got to get them fixed. He was doing an interview with Lisa Salters last night, and I was like, damn, man, those look like peanut brittle. I love the man, but he comes as, that's how he is, right?
And what's crazy is it was on social media as far as him yelling and them showing them bottom 4 or 5 he got right there. And ever since then, it's like you can't turn your TV off every time he shows up on there. But I told you, coaches is just raw. Like some guys like him just go to work, drink coffee, dip, and just go about their day. So at some point, we probably going to see him with a new set because, they look fragile, but hey, I'm not here to judge. I'm not a dentist.
It is what it is. He owns it.
He got a lot. He got a lot of brown and caffeine going around there. But the man wins football games.
That's what I'm saying. As long as you're winning football games, the man can do whatever he wants in Detroit.
You would think that Zen would call him up and be like, hey, man, you don't have to dip anymore. We'll make you a super strength Zen. And you just save those twofers, dude. Because the bottom ones look like a dog's teeth. I'm going to be honest. When you go to your buddy's house and that dog just be hanging out there and he got one tooth going one way and one tooth, just an old snaggle-tooth dog. That's what he looks like a big-ass snaggle-tooth dog.
He does. It's funny, too, Bert, that you guys, I thought I honestly was like the only person when it happened saw the teeth. And I'm like, Kayla, you're being so judgmental. That is so rude. But now I'm seeing it was on social media. You guys noticed it, so I don't feel as bad. So
now he at some point is going to have to probably get some implants. And here's the thing, he probably gonna hate them, but he need them. He's probably close to how many pinches you think he's taking in? Like 2 big ones or like 1 can?
Hammer. He's a hammer.
He's a hammer guy. And see what I'm saying? And
It's like Vrabel. Vrabel was a hammer guy.
I don't know if Vrabel's this bad.
He might not be to that level yet.
Looked like he at least brushed them bottom two.
Yeah, he did spit one out live on my pregame sideline duty that I was doing one game. He literally spit one out, and he goes, "Hey, Kayla," and he spit it right by my shoe.
Oh, come on, Mike.
I was like, "Come on, Braves."
Man's man.
What the hell?
And you know what? I feel like certain coaches. Oh my God, what is this, Hawk Tua?
I know, is Hawk Tua on the show today?
She probably in hiding right now.
Hey, has she been asleep for like 14
Bitcoin
days?
stuff?
She has been holding her spit, okay? Is what we got going on. Because she don't want to talk to nobody.
If you're unfamiliar, she launched her own coin. So kind of what you were talking about, Kayla, where it's like, oh, buy my Tua coin or whatever.
Yes.
And then everybody bought it and she flipped it. So she did a Twitter Space interview where she was like, all right, we'll talk about this later, guys. I'm going to bed. And that was like December 13th. She has been in hibernation for like 3 weeks.
And what's crazy about this girl is like her podcast that turned into like a top 10 podcast.
Yeah.
So she was making money.
A lot of money.
I don't know who got in her again. I'll say I don't know who's gotten into her ear, but that was fascinating. What I'm telling you is this. I'm not even mad at the Hawk Tua girl about this because who in 2024 is buying celebrity coins?
That's stupid.
This ain't even gold, okay? Like, give me silver. Like, at this point, like, I'd have felt better if you told me, Bert, she was selling aluminum coins. You know what I'm saying?
Or she was selling like something in a bottle or something.
I don't know. Sell Hot Tua in a bottle and call it water. Yeah, carbonate it. For all I care. Just don't. Who are these people?
Like bottle their farts and stuff and sell them.
I mean, people will sell.
Sure.
Hey, and that works too, by the way.
What's that?
I've farted in jars and put it in the freezer. I guarantee you, if you fart in a jar, put it in your freezer, and go back and smell it 2 weeks from now, it's going to be rank. As a kid, we used to do stuff like that all the time.
I never did this one.
You never farted in a jar and put it in the freezer?
No, I've never did this one.
I didn't hear the freezer part, Bert. This is new to me.
Yeah, so you preserve it.
Burn.
This man, there is not many things Robert Walsh hasn't done for the experiment of life. You know, Bert, all it is, you live more. That's all.
Sure.
Yeah, I just burned the candle at both ends.
Exactly.
But back to Dan Campbell. Listen, the man went football.
We got off on
we got the Hawk Tua
there. It isn't the new year, so.
Well, you brought it up with Vrabel. Vrabel put a Hawk Tua next to your flip before doing an interview. I feel like a lot of coaches that live like Dan Campbell do it because they feel like that's what like a football coach is supposed to do. You're supposed to talk to your players and yell. You're supposed to have a raspy voice. You also get close to them and have big old dips in, okay? And also just tobacco leaf just spews out of their mouth. Like, it's those things. I've seen a coach one time so bad with a dip in. What do you call her? I don't want to continue to call them dip, Bert. What do you call it? A nugget in? Whatever.
A chaw.
A chaw. Okay.
A chaw. With a chaw so bad that, like, he was talking, mouth got dry, and, like, he just had a ring of tobacco leaf around his mouth. Just like, Coach, you ain't going to fix that. We got trainers here willing to hydrate you. You still don't understand that you got a ring of chaw around your mouth. Like, and I feel like that's how Dan Campbell coaches every single day. Like, he fits. All right, check it. Super tight shirt, got it. Got a workout in at 4:35 this morning and cardio before 5, got it. Okay, all right. Did not kiss his wife before he left. Ain't seen his kids in 2 weeks. Check. Hires the most fiercest staff. Check. Win football games.
Got a fart in a jar.
Got a fart in a jar.
For sure, Dan Campbell
drives a truck.
Check. With flaps.
And also attempted to drive an electric car this year because the promotions of the team was going to allow him.
Oh, was it the Chevy?
Detroit. I don't know which one it was. It's probably Two Rivers Ford. Shout out to my people. Either way, but he likes filling up his gas, going in and get gas station coffee.
For sure.
Easy gas station
And that
coffee.
Sometimes is actually really
good. And if
good.
he's treating himself on Fridays, he go in and get the double talls with triple espresso shots. That's Dan Campbell.
That's Dan Campbell for it. And like we said, when you win, you do what you want. And we're going to do what we want on the show today. Just like we talked about everything and anything that was off base in the last 10 minutes of the show. Count on it. We'll probably do it today. It is the end of 2024. We got a good show lined up for you. Callahan saying he's going to play both quarterbacks on Sunday. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Plus an hour 2. We've got Stephen Godfrey joining us just a little bit earlier today on this Tuesday. We got college football playoffs coming up. We're going to ask him all about him, talk about the best matchups. Austin Price of VolQuest getting the latest on the Vols. Man, Vol Twitter has been crazy. It's been trending. It's been wild.
Yeah,
we're used to that, right?
It is. And I think we all are here for it. So we'll see. The transfer portal, I think they're still trying to work stuff out with Mike Matthews.
Yeah.
It's a long negotiation right here. If I got to beg my girlfriend to stay that long, she might as well just hit the streets.
Right? Just kick her to the streets.
That's what I'm saying.
And former tight end Ben Troupe, he is going to join us at 9:20. I'm really interested to get his take on the Titans season and just some of the decisions and what he thinks they should do moving forward. He always gives his honest opinion on the show. So excited to have them. Excited to have you join the show, you guys. You can always call us 615-737-1045 to give us your thoughts today, or you can chime in on the F&M Bake Champ or stream. We're also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So join along. What are you looking forward to this new year real quick?
For me personally?
Yeah.
Just consistency. Self-care, too, is going to be huge for me this upcoming. Mentally, physically, and just diving into, man, I got, oh, my gosh, I'm going to sound like a little softy saying this off top. I got about 18 months left with RJ in the house after this year.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
You had the awakening probably, huh?
Like it's a big year for him, so it's going to be a lot of dad and stuff with him in baseball. Miles also coaching him again, so it's going to be a lot of small focus this year. I'm not going to go and try to conquer the world like I always do every single year. So that's going to be number one on top of my list, man. I got a 16-year-old that's closer to college than he is going back to kindergarten. So that's going to be huge right there. And more fun. I think 2024, I grinded.
Laugh a little.
Oh, my gosh. I grinded and did not take those mental just resets like I said I was going to. So that's going to be big for me. It ain't much else like experiences. Yeah, I'll do those. I throw those in there. It's going to be more important and less just fluff is the way I look at 2025.
Or what do you got going on besides proposing to Cheyenne?
Yeah, that's coming up eventually. Probably like 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road.
Who are you? Just 21 Savage?
Yeah, 21 Savage.
We got one.
I don't know. I think I'm going to give the old quit smoking thing a try again. If anybody out there is a hypnotist or would like to sponsor my efforts of not smoking anymore, that would be awesome. But I'll probably give it up after like a month and a half and get back on the train.
Hey, at least you started it.
Yeah, right. As long as you get, I think, 1 month off. They say every cigarette is 7 minutes off your life.
Perfect.
If I quit smoking for a month, how many minutes did I get back,
a
man?
lot.
That feels like a preservative measure to me.
Absolutely.
I feel like that means I should be able to smoke the other 11 months of the year. Take 1 month off, 11 months on. That's a good schedule.
I like it, Bert. I like it. You can give us your New Year's resolution if you want. 615-737-1045. Have a little fun today. When we return, though, what Brian Callahan said about why he decided to play both Will Levis and Mason Rudolph this upcoming Sunday. We'll get to that and much more on RKW.
Hey, it's Will Bowling. Do you have a ceiling light fixture that flickers? Do you need an extra outlet or two? Or do you have wall switches that don't seem to work? I want to tell you about my friends at Lead Company because these all seem to be simple issues. However, they are rarely do-it-yourself projects. Dealing with electricity requires the expertise of an experienced professional. If you're like me, you try to mess around with the electricity and it's just going to make things worse. All of a sudden, the things that were working aren't. You got to call the pros over at Lead Company. Their electrical team can solve any problem you have safely and efficiently. And right now, you can enjoy $20 off an electrical service call for a limited time. You got to contact Lead Company today at 615-567-1000 or go online to leadcompany.com for an appointment. That's online at leecompany.com, 615-567-1000. That's Lee Company, all you need.
Welcome back into RKW, New Year's Eve edition. Hopefully you guys are either spending the day off, enjoying yourselves, or if you're on your way to work like us,
Yeah.
we're going to put you in a good mood this morning.
I know somebody's not in a good mood, Kayla, real quick, before we go any further into these bad vibes.
Who's in a
Like,
bad mood?
what do they call them? Bad beats, Bert, on bets and
That's
stuff?
right, Scott Van Pelt.
Bad beats, man. There's a Titans faithful, man. Cousin Hightower on Twitter posted his parlay from this past weekend. Y'all listen to this parlay, man. Said he put $5 down. He posted it, and he chose money line on all of them. So you get it. He's playing the safe. They're trying to make a couple ducats, okay? Tampa Bay money line hit. Philly money line hit. Vegas Raiders money line hit. Miami Dolphins money line hit. Vikings hit. Commanders hit. Detroit last night hit. I think it goes a little bit further on that. Buffalo Bills hit. Giants hit. Tampa, again, it's the second one, hit. Philly hit again. Vegas again. Dolphins again. Vikings again. He had two separate parlays. You know why I did not cash out yesterday?
Tell me. Just, I already know what it is, probably.
This is where I always tell people that play this game, you can't bet with your heart. I get it. You bet with your heart and you feel like that boot ain't going to love you back. Both of those parlays right there dropped because he chose Titans money line. I don't know what the payout is. He tweeted, I ain't going to say it on air, but listen, it was a little that he put in and a lot he missed out on is all
Now,
I'm
that
saying.
is disappointing.
That's disappointing.
I mean, that's a big parlay, and to have one little leg of it and it be the Titans.
Hey, shout out to all the tweakers.
That's what it is. At this point, like, what Savage has gotten numerous times like that. Savage has gotten numerous times. He said he had a few of them.
With
Parlays
Titans?
just ready to hit, and the Titans let him down. That's why it's
Did
called.
he stop going any direction?
I'm
on the
not
Titans?
sure.
Okay.
I'm not even sure. I don't even ask really because after that much heartbreak right there, you got to stop betting with your heart and go with what's sensible in these moments. That's why I'm winning Thursday 3 right now.
Oh, shut up.
Well, this week hasn't been great for you, son.
Oh.
I think I got 2.
I thought you got one.
Oh, did you? He slid in. Where did that extra one come from?
So you know how
I'm
you
waiting
doing
on
good.
going
in this-
3-0.
You know how you doing good out here is because everybody be watching right now. They ain't watching me on Thursday 3.
I know how Hightower feels though, because when I first moved to Nashville, you can't sports bet. You can now, but before you couldn't sports bet in North Carolina. So I was super excited to play the whole season. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna bet this, I'm gonna bet that. Well, I had a first rough week, and I believe it was Sunday Night Football was Russell Wilson and the Broncos taking on the Seahawks. And I was like, there is no way in hell that Russell Wilson is going to lose to the Seahawks. They got a crappy team. I'm going to put a bucket on money line and just make a little bit. So I got a little bit more to bet with. And then Russell folded like a cheap suit, man. And that's when I learned you do not know. You do not know as much as you think you know.
Exactly,
with this stuff.
right? I remember when you made that bet, Bert, because I think we talked about it maybe off air.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. And everybody was like, are you?
And then you just got punched in the face.
That was the old Jay-Z line. It's like, Russell lived long enough to see himself become a villain.
Yes.
Because I had always thought, oh, Russell, top 5 quarterback, elite guy. Like, sure, coming to the AFC. Hell no, but whatever.
That's a tough beat right there, man. Betting with your heart. Or this is why like people be asking me stuff on coaching. Like I'm different. I'm a different player than like coach. Like or like the betting stuff. You like I can tell you how I feel, but more times than not, the athlete feels like they're going to win every single time. So don't ask me about these bet beats and stuff like that.
Well, right now you are technically winning, so I think a lot of people should be listening to you at least in Thursday 3.
In Colorado.
Well, that's what I thought he went 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
That's all right. You're still ahead.
Oh, yeah, you're still ahead. It's okay, buddy.
It's okay.
Just don't let it happen again.
I was this close to going 0-3 because that
I know you were.
That Broncos and Cincinnati game was real low scoring until Joe Burrow turned it on.
Now, OT, man. The OT helped you out.
God.
Sometimes when those hit, you're like, oh, I'm extra lucky today.
That Thursday 3 was good to me late, man. I'll take it. I will take it. But, man, shout out to Cousin Hightower. That's a bad
I'm
beat
sorry,
right there.
Hightower. Hopefully your New Year will be better.
No, Kayla.
Okay. Hey, here's something to look forward to. You don't really have much to bet in terms of the Titans in the New Year. You have one game in the New Year, but just don't bet on it, and then you'll get on the right track.
Straight up.
How about that? Speaking of that game on Sunday, guys, so Brian Callahan announced that he was going to play both quarterbacks Sunday. This was at his presser yesterday when he speaks on Mondays, because for the last couple of games, obviously, he's made it clear that they are starting Mason Rudolph. And now it is, he feels like he wants to give both quarterbacks an opportunity to play. Let's hear from him real quick, and then interested to get your thoughts, Moan, on this.
Yep.
I'm actually going to probably play both of them, to be honest. Let those guys both have a chance to play. Don't know when and where that looks like. We're still really early in it, but I think both guys will have some opportunities. I'll let you know by the end of the week, starter, all that stuff. But I think both guys should play some football at the end of the year.
What's the reasoning behind that?
I just like to let them play, let them both have chances to play. I think Mason did some good things in the game. Tipped interception was unfortunate. But I do think that, let Will get another shot at throwing the ball around a little bit and playing some football. So, he's been really professional in his approach, how it's all gone. I think he's, earned a right to go play a little more football. Just because of the way he's handled the whole process. I got a lot of respect for it. And he's been really professional and all those things. So, get a chance to go play a little bit more.
Is this the swan song for both quarterbacks? First of all, it is crazy how his tone has changed so much as the season has winded down, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, this team isn't winning games. But even when it comes to talking about, the quarterback specifically, I just remember even when Will came back from the shoulder injury and how much umph he had behind his, demeanor about, we're going to give Will every opportunity. And now it's like, we're throwing them both out there. Let him go.
I told y'all better enjoy him giving up all that information. I kept telling you at some point in time, this league is going to wear on him.
Yeah.
I said it he's not going to always be like this. I kept saying
take the pigs out. We're going to.
And honestly, I'm glad. I'm glad he's more, what do you want to call him, toned down, right? Oh, my gosh. Yes. Keep him like this. Now he's becoming an NFL head coach. Mm-hmm. Yes. Now you either got to be raging like a Vrabel or like a Dan Campbell, or you need to be more Bill Belichick.
I was just going to say,
those
barely
are the two
saying
options.
Anything.
Those are the two options. Mike McDaniel in Miami was the exact same way.
Yeah, he was.
Now look at him.
A lot different.
Now
haven't heard much of him lately, right?
But as it pertains to that conversation about going back to Will Levis, I'll be honest, of all the decisions that Coach Callahan has made, this is one of the ones that has me questioning a little bit of his decision-making, a little bit of the toying with guys' career in a sense, almost. Like the way he said it in a sense. And, of course, in sitting here evaluating him on the radio, I'm a fan still of him. But when it comes to, wanting to see him be successful is what I would say. My thing is this. When it comes down to guys' careers and you having to make hard decisions as a coach, you having to shut out the noise, be very decisive, this is not one of those moments I feel like for him.
No.
It ain't. Just because a guy looks good and doing what he's supposed to, I'm going to just give him the opportunity to throw the football around a little bit out there. I was just I
felt the same way.
Yeah, in a business where you get what you deserve, and you make decisions and you deal with them and stick with them, this is one of those ones that, look, if they have, and here's me playing conspiracy theories on this is if they've had conversations on Monday before the presser and said, look, all hope is done.
Yeah.
We probably not gonna rock with him next year, meaning Mason and Will Levis, and we got the number 2 overall pick if we lose.
Sure.
Let's just throw them both out there.
I wonder if this could be an opportunity for Will Levis to raise his profile, not necessarily in Tennessee.
I was just going to think that.
But more so as like a trade prospect for another team who would be willing to take on a developmental quarterback.
Yes.
And see, that's what I don't know. That's what I don't know either. So like I said, this decision to go back to me as a coach, any kind of coach, even with me on the middle school level, Kayla, I got to be decisive in what I'm telling these kids because I can't be flip-flopping as an old Michael Scott.
The message has changed down the stretch a lot.
Has, snip, snap, snip, snap. Like, I can't live that life right there as a coach because people's careers, their lives are emotional. Like, we are emotional beings as football players, as athletes because, look, I feel like the work that I'm doing is good enough for you to recognize me to give me an opportunity. Sure. Don't just pitch me out there because, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do this regardless. If I'm trash, tell me I'm trash. Help me fix why I'm trash as a player instead of just, hey, here's a little charity for you, because that's not the game that I know. Again, to Bert's point, Will Levis needs, he needs some value for this team, if that's their plan and if it's his plan too. Or the idea that maybe behind the scenes, this is the conversation they had. How do we lose this game with dignity? Well, put them both out there. Mm-hmm. And I hate to speculate like that, Kayla, but if this was my career and I felt like I had gotten benched and I don't deserve to go back in, am I going to take the opportunity? Yeah. But as a team, that's just very indecisive to me. And I'd love to have an off-the-record conversation with a guy like that, because I feel like we'll never get the real answer as to why I'm throwing both of them out there. It just don't sit right with me on that one. I'll be completely honest with you.
I just think for me, the messaging had been so steady for the most part of the season. And then, when Will started to go off the rails again, they clearly were like, we're going to make the change at quarterback. At that point, Ramon, for me, that was the decision then you stick with.
Yeah.
Will lost the job, point blank. You said you're done with him because at the beginning of the season, even through all the injuries, you said he was your guy and you were going to stick through it with him to make sure you knew who you were. Yeah, and so if you bench him, to me, you go and you continue to just stick with Mason Rudolph. It is what it is. There's one game left in the season. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people are like, please lose this game so we can keep our draft.
And I understand
that.
I'm with that.
But the two quarterback, to me, guys, that's a bad look. It almost makes it look JV-ish. Like, we're just going to throw both QBs out there like a preseason game. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, it does. And like I said, it's one game left. Guys are checked out anyway. Coach even said it on Monday after the game. Nothing is good. Nothing sits well with them. There's nothing enjoyable right now. And so I get that. But the goal and objective is always to win and be competitive. I always, push back and say, well, what about the 5 offensive linemen that can't take a play off? What about the wide receivers who are low right now as far as bodies, or the running backs? You know what I'm saying? They got to continue to tote the football. Like, there needs to be some consistency on how you move forward and command and operate with your team. What I will say is this. I have a strong feeling, because change has to happen. Mm-hmm. Next year, there will be different philosophies from him. I think he'll be retained. I ain't even going to play the if game right now, okay? If I'm wrong on Black Monday, boy, we can come back to this message right here.
I'm with you, too, so I'll be X'd on that as well.
But I do think there will be more of a path that he's going to have to walk as a second-year coach. Mm-hmm. Decisions like this have to be, like, very, very detailed, have to be consistent, and just up and down the roster. I feel like what they're looking for as far as players, maybe they're not going to go for 5 tight ends next year. Maybe, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know if that's really paid off. I mean, they've been a good room for the most part, but
absolutely. But then there's been no issues with them other than the fact that you need another playmaker at wide receiver potentially, or finding a linebacker on the other side of the ball, or a defensive lineman, the depth, whatever the case may have been. But next year's goals for Coach Callahan probably is to be a little bit more decisive, understand the ins and outs of the week to week when it comes to how guys are managed, the decisions you make. And here's the other side, too. A lot of people are giving, Miss Amy a lot of flack and just how they talk about, she's quick with her decision, or everything is super fast or unemotional. I feel like some of the decisions that Callahan has made this year, in hindsight now, have been a little emotional how he's gone about it. Now, here's the other side of it, too. First-year coach, dealing with a lot of new, a lot of change, a lot of him decisions. Everything comes back to the head coach on the things that he has to do and how he's going to operate his team with the assistance of his coaches. But this year, in particular, the quarterback situation, and not just that one, but the right tackle situation too.
Never improved.
And even just the starting of the season, you know what I'm saying, with MPF, he immediately comes in and become a starter, and then he's bad, so you put somebody else in. Yeah, it was herky-jerky the entire season this year. Last game, Jalen Duncan comebacks, and I know here's the thing, too. They got to see what Jalen Duncan was about. Mm-hmm. But maybe that's one of them situations where you put him in as the backup guy and not the starter. Jalen Duncan immediately got healthy and became the starter. Like, I thought the way John Njoku finished the game last week or whenever MPF got benched, I thought it was
He
fair.
graded out okay for PFF.
It was fair.
Yeah.
But to leapfrog somebody as a starter, as a pro, I take that personally. And even if I'm MPF, I told you guys, I'm okay with a sack. Coach has said that too. But you're benching me after one sack, and then you go to this next game, this Jacksonville Jaguars game, and you lose Jalen Duncan within, I think he's played 15 snaps this game, this year.
Yeah.
So you're incomplete. It's the decision-making, Kayla, has to be more detailed next year.
No, I'm with you 100% all that. Those are really good points. And just with this basic point we were talking about with the quarterbacks and playing both too, Ramon, and I understand why a lot of people are being like, this is like a subtle way of saying we're definitely tanking. Because the biggest thing for me that I see out of that, Ramon, when you have two quarterbacks playing in a game, is just the difference in flow. We've heard it all season long. When Mason Rudolph is in the game, there is more of a flow to the offense. Ask Chikakonkwo, ask Calvin Ridley. They'll tell you that Mason gets the ball out quicker. He's more decisive. When you're playing two quarterbacks then, like, that's almost unfair to your weapons around you and your offensive line, who also is a little more stable with Mason Rudolph in the pocket. Yeah. So, to me, it is a subtle way of saying we're tanking.
Yeah, it is.
Which I'm sure fans are probably like, okay.
So here's the thing: as fans, yeah, that's fine. Like that right there.
But
you listen to the fans, you'll listen to. Like, you'll end up with them, is what I've always been told. But the team side of stuff, like, you're pretty much lambs going to slaughter at this point.
For sure.
Like, and that's where, to me, if I was a guy that's on a 1 year left with this team, like, I'd have to have a strong conversation with the coach after the season. Here's the thing: I ain't ever just been in these type of situations right here to be in that mode to where, like, you felt like, all right, we're out for slaughter. Like, guys, we go in the game knowing that we were already locked up. There were going to be starters that were going to be sitting. But the messaging was still the same. We're out to win football games. The messaging was across the board. Look, these are opportunities for guys that we might need in the playoffs. This one is, they're going to Cabo on 3. You know what I'm saying?
1, 2, 3.
So, yeah, it's Cabo on 3, and that just doesn't sit well with me because, again, this amount of losing and to say that, look, go ahead and walk inside of that building over there, man. There'll be some candy over there for you. You don't make it out. Like, no, I'm not willing to do that as a professional. That changes perspective. So I'm hoping for next year, as I said a second ago, this will be a different tone, a different just mentality about how he's going to approach handling his team and the decisions like that. Like I said, I saw somebody a second ago and said Mason hadn't been good. Here's the thing. You benched Levis, though.
Yeah.
And if Mason ain't good, then you got a strong opportunity for him not to be good on Sunday when Houston comes to town. And D'Amico Ronson, he's playing everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you, Moan. And again, like Bert's point too, we're never going to hear that, hey, we're putting Levis out there, so we're giving an opportunity to boost his tape a little more. So maybe we could get something for him, in the offseason. They're never going to come out and say that, obviously. Won't. So we can, speculate on what this is, playing two quarterbacks. But it's just, to me, it's not a great look. But again, that's my opinion. I'm with you, though, Moan. It's a season of you've got to learn. But next year, there's not going to, the diapers come off.
Yeah.
Like the potty training diapers come off next year for Brian Callahan and the staff, because this is a year you had the entire year to learn from your mistakes.
Figure out what it's
not just half of it, the entire year. Coming up on RKW, we'll talk about a team that's winning footballs. It's the Detroit Lions. I know Bert was happy about this because he won his bet yesterday. 49ers had a chance in this one, guys. I've got to ask you, do you have an issue with the third-round pick they took that possibly kept them from winning that game? I'll get into the details next on RKW here on 104.5 The Zone. Hey, it's Kayla Anderson for WeGrowHair.com. Man, I'm telling you, it's been a good year working with them in terms of getting my hair growth journey on the right track. It's been, 6 months now since I started that hair growth journey. Went ahead, got on a plan. They set me up for exactly what I needed in terms of hair growth. They offer everything there because did you know you can lose up to 50% of your hair before you even notice it? They have their PRP, platelet-rich plasma treatments. Those are great for seeing growth in 1 to 2 months. And their FDA-approved laser therapy, something that I've done for the last 6 months. It's helped restore my hair, guys. I can definitely see the line up here on my temples. It's a lot better, a lot less in terms of the weakness of my hair there as well. So if you want to go check out what your hair growth journey can be, go ahead and check out WeGrowHair.com. You can schedule a free evaluation today. All you got to do, give them a call, 615-376-6010. That's 615-376-6010, and tell them Kayla sent you. Already wrapping up hour one here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Always glad to have you along for the ride as we ride out of 2024 into 25 here soon.
Hey, a whole
Love to hear
quarter.
from you guys. Yeah. Love to hear from you guys this morning. 615-737-1045. The F&M Bank chat lit this morning.
Yeah.
Good conversation on there. Moan's got him going in the chat. It's called multitasking, what we do here on the show sometimes. Or Twitter fingers. They are kind of hot sometimes because we're talking and tweeting and interacting with you, but we love it. So Monday Night Football, guys, 49ers, Detroit Lions. I thought in the beginning the Niners really had a chance in this one. You know,
did.
in
They
San
played well.
Francisco, and props to Shanahan and getting his guys when there's not really anything to play for to go out there and play like they did. They've been beat up all year. You saw Kittle going out there doing all he could. Nick Bosa doing all he could on an injury-ridden body at this point of the season. Brock Purdy, who, by the way, Kyle Shanahan told reporters after the game he's dealing with a nerve issue in his right elbow. He's going to undergo testing on Tuesday. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. He was non-committal to his status for the regular season finale.
Dobby boy.
He's also waiting to get paid.
Yeah.
So that's its own saga that's to be played out there in San Francisco and what they're going to do. But as for the game last night, guys, the Niners, like I said, had a chance. Purdy, unfortunate, 2 interceptions in that game. Also, their third-round pick. No, he's not a running back. No, he's not a wide receiver. No, he's not even a tight end. He's a kicker by the name of Jake Moody. They took him in the 3rd round. He missed some crucial field goals of 58 and 51. He had also struggled even before this game as of late. And he struggled again, and people are calling for his head in San Francisco.
He even missed the extra point also. He's going through the yips bad right now.
And he's a 3rd-round pick.
That's why you don't waste. You can get too smart sometimes as a GM. I think we've learned that a time or two here in Nashville too. Like, don't waste like valuable picks on guys like that respectfully, unless they're Janikowski.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, unless they're gonna go down in history, like that's rough. And the way you look at that is, man, that's one of those positions where there's a log jam of people trying to take positions right there. And you know what you do, Kayla? Each Monday, each Tuesday, you bring in a new batch of them and say, hey, we'll fight for a job right here, because to waste a draft pick, I mean, that could easily have gone to Trenton Williams' replacement. Like, there is something, and Debo Samuel is up. Debo Samuel is up on the contract this upcoming year. Their safety, Talifawanga, is another one of those guys is up for a contract after this season too, and you wasted on a 3rd-round kicker.
And that's why I don't think they've made a decision yet, guys, because now there is so much, I think, on them to be like, oh gosh, if we cut this guy, we're getting rid of a 3rd-round pick, which ego-wise does not make them look good as a franchise anyway. Good franchise for the most part in drafting. But you look at this situation right now, and it's like, I get it while the fans are calling for his head right now, but I don't know if they can make that quick of a decision because it is a valuable pick that they made on this guy.
Again, he's a rookie, right? No. 2020, it's the second year.
Second year. His field goal percentage from his rookie year dropped from 84%, which is not fantastic, but not terrible, to 71.9% this year. Missed 9 kicks.
Nope.
That's like a point guard shooting free throws. Like, we need you in them 80s.
Oh, I'm a volume shooter. Nah, buddy, getting a pass.
Yeah, that's bad,
exactly.
you guys.
And his were like wide left. I was watching like short.
Wasn't
and,
close.
Wide right. Like, it was not a good look, man. All I'm telling you is this. I ain't been around no bullies on football teams. But he would get talked bad to, is what I'm telling you. Like,
and that happened earlier in the year. Debo Samuel kind of giving him the cold shoulder earlier. I can't remember what the game was exactly, but one job, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's very hard to endear yourself to a team when you're making mistakes like that.
And you know why it's less forgiving too? Because you go through training camp with these dudes, and you're out there doing 9-on-7 and 11-on-11 and backs on backers and stuff like that. And he's out there doing tricks with the football on the 3rd field. Like, he's out there picking, dropping the ball, doing drop kicks, and they're throwing spirals at the field goal and everything.
He's not getting his head rammed in.
Bro, exactly. You got to do this job. And if you don't, like, the football players is what I would say, the position players, they make you feel, and he should be feeling right now.
Yeah.
He should.
I saw Kittle kind of like embrace him after that first miss.
Need an
Kittle's
OG
just
like
that
that.
kind of guy. Like, you're glad you always have a guy like that on your football team, but look, it's a situation at this point where you gotta make a decision as a team. Like, is this really worth it moving forward? I don't care if it's a 3rd round pick. You're gonna maybe just have to cut your losses on that. On the other side of things, guys, I know Detroit getting away with the 40-34 win. Their offense has been spectacular this year. Are we worried at all about this defense headed into the playoffs for Detroit?
Are we worried about? I mean, they got a mentality in place, it seems to me, that, look, they know how to muster out a win. Like, they're getting squeezed. And last night, they should have potentially lost. I mean, they're going from Detroit all the way to San Francisco. And, of course, you had Fred Warner last night speaking about Dan Campbell said they were bringing everybody to the West Coast. Yeah. So there was a lot of emotions for a team like San Francisco to win that football game, who is also a very physical team. Mm-hmm. Like, the way they won it, they're a little bit less than right now because of the injuries they have on their defense and also to a running back or two. And by the way, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, dog.
Super nice. And they're finding new ways to win football games, man. So
they make it fun, I'll tell you that much.
Detroit's got a solid team. Hopefully, for their sake, they can get Aiden Hutchinson back. Bert, do you know his timeline?
They're saying it would be Super Bowl or nothing.
Okay.
It would probably be a very tightrope to walk to get there.
Yeah.
But on their defense, not to steal your point there.
No, go ahead.
A guy that shined last night, Kirby Joseph, should probably be in Defensive Player of the Year talks. But 9 interceptions on the year, that leads the league. I love stuff like this. This is so random, and I'll probably remember this for the rest of my life because I can't forget stuff like this. Brock Purdy threw an interception to him, was brought back on penalty. The next play, he picked the ball off again.
Yeah. Yep.
That is badass stuff.
That is.
DBs never get the credit they deserve in the Defensive Player of the Year race. It's always pass rushers.
For sure.
With a dude like this that's playing on a team that's marred by injury and still balling out, like, this guy at least deserves to be in the conversation with Patrick Surtain.
Where's he out of?
Where is he out of? I think Syracuse. Oh, no, Illinois. Wrong orange school.
Yeah, one of the orange schools.
Who was the last one? Gilmore?
It would be Stephon Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore.
Correct.
And
right now, I believe T.J. Watt is the favorite currently.
Yeah, right.
No,
Really?
I'm serious. It is a weird Defensive Player of the Year. Nick Bonito for the Broncos is in it.
Yeah, Bonito's had a good year.
I think he's at 12.5, 11.5 sacks, and Patrick Surtain. So, it's really like there's not an elite defensive player that we can be like, oh, yeah, it's that guy. Because there's no, I don't think anybody has over 16 sacks.
And then you're splitting hairs with TJ and Myles Garrett, too. Because I think Myles has more sacks, but TJ's got more stripped fumbles. Like, the effectiveness of the game and stuff like that is where you're splitting hairs this year.
It is kind of weird, though, talking about, like, we don't have a really dominant defensive player, right? Because usually at this point, we're like, oh, yeah, this guy, or, the past. We could always pick out who was going to probably be the one winning it.
So right now, your odds to win Defensive Player of the Year, T.J. Watt at -105, Patrick Surtain at +125. Here's where the odds get crazy. Myles Garrett +3,000, and Andrew Van Ginkel. Shout out to Van Ginkel, man, because he has put together two crazy years. Last year with the Dolphins, this year with the Vikings. He is also +3,000.
He has been good, man. He has been, and he doesn't get as much credit, right?
Because the guy on the opposite side of him, you would be like, oh, yeah, for sure. That guy, there's another pass rusher there.
Right.
But the Van Ginkel, he may have a name like a president, but he's holding it down.
Yes, the heck he does, man. I didn't realize TJ's eyes was that high. Daniil Hunter's also, the top end of this team is who you expect. And nobody's talking about Trey Hendrickson at all, with 14 sacks on the season, too.
He's had a good year as well. When we return on RKW, we'll start up hour 2 of the program, and we're going to switch a little bit over to some college football. That is because, guys, we got a quarterfinal game tonight. Boise State and Penn State. I want to ask you guys, what do you think will be the best matchups of this quarterfinal round? That and much more when we return here on RKW 104.5 The Zone.
What's going on? 7:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Lions pull back into the game after a slow first half, scored 22nd in the second half and beat the 49ers 40-34. Jared Goff finishes 26-34 for 303 yards, 3 touchdowns. On defense, Kirby Joseph had 2 interceptions, 3 if you count the one taken away by penalties, and Lions moved to 14-2 and are on a collision course with the Vikings in Week 18 for all the marbles. NFC North champion and the number 1 seed will be decided in Detroit next week on Sunday Night Football. In Titans news, Brian Callahan spoke to the media yesterday and laid out the game plan for quarterback in the regular season finale against the Texans.
I'm actually going to probably play both of them, to be honest. Let those guys both have a chance to play. Don't know when and where that looks like. We're still really early in it, but I think both guys will have some opportunities. I'll let you know by the end of the week, starter, all that stuff. But I think both guys should play some football at the end of the year.
For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome into hour 2 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on this wonderful Tuesday morning as we are wrapping up 2024 today, hoping to send you into the new year in a good way with some good vibes. Alongside our 11-year NFL veteran, we've got Ramon Foster.
Yay.
We got Robert Walsh behind the glass making the show happen. I'm Kayla Anderson. Will bowling off today. And we are here, like I said, to move you seamlessly into the new year, however we can do that. What I'm excited about, guys, is we've got football to watch tonight.
Yeah, we do.
So excited about that. As always, you guys can join us virtually. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. The FNM Big Chat is live and awake today. You can also give us a call if you want. Share your thoughts about the new year, what you'd like to see maybe out of your favorite sports team in the new year, 615-737-1045. So I posed a question. I'll start with you, Moan. What would be the most exciting matchup on the college football quarterfinal final playoff slate for you when it comes down to it?
Watching Ohio State and Oregon Part 2. That comes on tomorrow at, if the times are correct, 4.
Yeah, the
tomorrow.
Rose Bowl.
So I'm actually, I got another game that's on my list. It's not even a quarterfinal, playoff game that I'm really intrigued by, and that's that South Carolina-Illinois game.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see if they can really pull it together. South Carolina and Illinois has been hot. They've had some high draft picks as of late, too. Mm-hmm. That one's going to be very fascinating. But Ohio State and Oregon, because, it can be decided upon who's going to win it in that game right there. One of those two I feel like will be in the championship. And, of course, can Notre Dame, strike and take advantage of Georgia? Those two games right there, I think, are the ones that have my eye the most. As far as tonight's game, this Penn State-Boise State, they got Penn State favored by 11.5 points, according to ESPN at this point right now. So James Franklin's got a squad. He's got a defense. He's got it together. And Boise, see if they can hang with the big dogs.
Yeah, I'll get to that in just a second. Going back to the Oregon-Ohio State game. Yeah. So Dylan Gabriel, he's had a pretty good season, obviously transferring this past year up there in Oregon. I think we've talked a lot about Oregon as a whole, just the money they've spent on their roster.
Yeah, them too.
I guess Dylan Gabriel, being a guy that's been 6 years in the college football ranks, it's kind of crazy. I didn't know he had been there that long. I don't think he got a ton of credit, I guess, for what he's done up there this season. But again, it is more maybe so the product of what you're playing in.
Yeah, I mean, it's the region too, right? Like he's been crushing it in the sense of how they play football. He's been good. I saw clips of him yesterday on social media. You say that, but this year he's thrown for over 3,500 yards with 28 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. They play good, sound, quick, physical football is what they do. And shout out to the Tennessee native, too, man. Jordan James, who's out here crushing it, too, for their team. They got run balance. They got pass balance. They got tight ends, man. And whatever you need, Oregon has. But that's also the case when Phil Knight is your is your baby dad, or your sugar daddy,
when
right?
you can drop a money bag at your doorstep.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this is you're going to have a team go up against another team that they've already seen each other during the regular season.
Yeah, 2.0.
I'm curious as if, for you, Mo, playing a regular season, whether it was in college or the NFL, is it really a thing saying it's hard to beat a team twice? Because as we know, Ohio State went to Eugene in the regular season and lost there by a point.
By a point, yeah. Is it a hard thing? Yeah, it is, because if you won, you want to replicate what you did the first time around as much as you possibly can to help you. But and like to the mind of an athlete, that they won't do what they did the same, as last.
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes super complicated. And not just that, the game plan for coaches. How much can you do to make you successful? What did you miss the last time? Is it worth going back to those misses, or do you just eliminate it? So there's a lot of mental, mind games that go into, competing against the same opponent twice. What are you missing this time? Did they get a player back? How injured are you in those moments? Oregon's had a month to get together far as their
I don't know if I like that long layoff either. I think I'd rather have been an Ohio State team playing a game before this.
But the thing that comes into play there is this, though, is Oregon, with how they've played this year, been physical. Yeah. They at least been healthy. They know that they can at least attempt to go into this game and try to beat them up front defensively, and also see if they can run the ball. Both teams should be fairly rested, but Oregon's ability to somewhat set the tone early is going to be huge for them because, to your point, Ohio State has played a game and played well in that game too. So it's a matter of how much momentum and confidence a team like Ohio State has going up against Oregon, considering the way they showed up against the Vols. They, in my opinion, should know, we're one of those types of teams. It's a matter of can they get over the hump of what Oregon presents them with having about a month off.
Yeah. I'm interested in that one. Also, Cam Scattaboo just talking his talk over there at Arizona State saying, nobody can stop me. We'll see, because that Texas defensive front is pretty damn good. But, talk your talk, boy. You've had a great season, so... you got to do it.
Signetti was the last coach that talked a lot of trash at Indiana. You might want to be careful in these pressers that you got going on. Signetti? Scattaboo?
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Scattaboo.
He going to scat quick.
I was going to say, he's got to scat quick.
If he don't back up his words this upcoming week, man. But it's a great slate. Even starting today, though, Kayla, Alabama, Michigan 2.0. That's another game that's been played out again.
Regular bowl games.
Yeah, and like I said, South Carolina, and we were speaking about this yesterday. We were talking about the transfer portal with Will and stuff. This is what the work that South Carolina has done with re-signing their edge rusher and getting their quarterback back into the fold. You look at these teams that are middle-of-the-pack SEC, and South Carolina is one of them right now, too. They ain't make a college football playoff, but
it's a good team, though.
They're in the Camping World, playing in Orlando, Florida, so they got a Florida Bowl. How much can South Carolina, just leapfrog themselves going into 2025 to being a better team? I think they got Lenore Sellers as a
That's
Dylan
the thing.
Stewart
they got their key piece back.
Yeah, they do. So seeing how he handles that moving forward. And, of course, like I said, looking at that Alabama-Michigan game again, can DeBoer close out a good season right there, or does Michigan have a good bit of momentum going into it? Yeah,
that'd be interesting, a little rematch there from the playoffs last year. I am still kind of intrigued about this underdog matchup today with Boise State. I guess coming from a smaller school in terms of Washington State, I've watched a lot of Boise State. We played them this past year. Ashton Genty is the real deal. He was the Heisman runner-up, as you guys all know. Incredible numbers this year, 2,497 yards in 13 games. It leaves him 132 yards short of Barry Sanders in his all-time single-season record. That was back in 1988. So just being able to watch him, I think on a national stage, because not a lot of people got to see him this year, you're going to see him work regardless of what he's going up against. The guy gets his yards. Like, I've definitely seen that. They played Oregon early on in the season. Honestly, put Oregon on its skis in that one. I mean, they played a really good game against them. So I'm interested to see, like, what does Boise State want to do? How much can they go out there and prove, like, hey, we can be a program that comes out of nowhere. You remember that game back in the day when they beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl.
No doubt.
But Penn State is also out proving that we can be a team that doesn't just sit in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, we won a playoff game. This is the bye.
Yeah, no, they won a playoff.
They won a playoff game.
Yep, sure did.
They're trying to kind of make sure they get out of that territory of just like ho-humness.
Low ceiling. Yeah, they're trying to get past that. And James Franklin is one heck of a coach, one heck of a motivator too. His methods, depending on who you're talking to, from who you with the guys he's coached.
Familiar here in the Vanderbilt area.
They might have something different, but here's what I do know about him. To your point, he continually has teams that are knocking at the door. To your point about, them being stuck behind Michigan, Ohio State, and now Oregon, this is their opportunity to prove by winning and advancing on. I do think they win this one, this upcoming, tonight, because they're just that good. And it's huge for Boise. I will say this, too. Over the course of sprinkling in important teams, you mentioned that Fiesta Bowl team that Boise had. Boise has been in play for a while. I don't know what they got going on.
It's a solid program.
It is.
It really is.
But it's big for Boise, the program, and it's big for Ashton Genty, too. Going up against a real good NFL opponent this upcoming weekend. You passed the test with Oregon, as you said, with him getting his yards. How will you do against a Penn State team that you got to have it against? I ain't really watched a whole lot of him. I just know he's been killing it. This is one of those games tonight I'll be locked in on for sure.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully he does show something so people can kind of see, what he really is if you haven't watched a lot of him. Also, be on the lookout for Penn State's tight end Tyler Warren. Man, that guy is a beast.
Nice. They always got a tight end.
He is so good. That guy, he's been phenomenal for them all year long and for that offense. Coming up here on RKW, our good friend Stephen Godfrey. He always brings some entertainment to the show. He's going to join us coming up to talk about the college football playoffs and everything when it comes to college football. That's next on RKW here on 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Y'all, today's the last day. You got to get in on this, man. Hiller's Cash for the Holidays promotion is still here, where they're giving you cash with select purchases, like a $500 Visa gift card when you buy a select new HVAC system or new whole home generator. You can go ahead and get that $250 Visa gift card when you buy a new tankless water heater. I also had Hiller come to my house and do the $99 drain cleaning special this month, too. Listen, they got a lot of things and options for you there if you need to go ahead and take care of your home. Simply visit happyhiller.com today for more details.
Welcome back into a Tuesday edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Kayla Anderson, Ramon Foster. Joining us now on the phone lines, it is our good friend Stephen Godfrey. Split Zone Duo, Washington Post. You can find his work everywhere. You can follow him on Twitter at 38 Godfrey. How are you, Godfrey?
I'm good. Get like the holiday Black Plague, or was that just me? Or
oh well, I pretty much had the Black Plague called sinus infection the last 3 days, so I'm back on antibiotics. No, it's not contagious. People, calm down. But yeah, that's been fun.
Yeah, I feel like the entire city of Nashville just took it in the teeth, man.
Right?
It's been rough.
Goodness gracious.
Has been, Godfrey. Then on top of that, guess what we're supposed to get next week? Just solar plungers are cool with people hopping in water. Well, guess what? We're supposed to be below average for the next 15 to 18 days after that. So yeah, we get a lot of snow
really
and ice.
Excited about that. No sunlight. Oh man,
Right?
it just sounds. It's my favorite time of
Way
year.
to start the show, man. We are
Yes,
just positive
indeed.
on here. But a good thing though, we do got some college football tonight. We do have a quarterfinal game. What's your interest in Penn State, Boise State?
There's a lot of narrative. I think it may actually just be an ugly football game, which is totally fine, by the way. You can have an ugly football game and not have it necessarily be a referendum on the group of five and all that kind of stuff. I think it's an interesting matchup. I know a lot of people have talked about the way these matchups have been formed, but I like Penn State's defense is probably the best tool it has to not create another sort of postseason or big moment James Franklin blunder. And I think that applies pretty well to the way Boise runs the ball. But also, I just feel like we're all sort of like willingly signing up to be made fools of by Boise this season, especially when they have that effective of a run game. So I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a fun game if you're sort of a sicko. I don't think it's necessarily going to be like a casual 42-41. There are a lot of fireworks. Like it's going to be grimy.
I think everybody thinks back to those of us who are old enough to think back to this when Boise State surprised Oklahoma back in the day and everything was great with the proposal at the end to the cheerleader girlfriend. I think that's what I'm holding on to, Godfrey, of this being some sort of a matchup.
Yes, and look, there's reason why it could be. I think structurally they look very different. Talking about Boise, that was the Chris Peterson era, which led into coaches like Brian Harsin, and they ran a very specific style of offense. It was a lot of shift, a lot of motion, and they created a lot of trickery out of that. This is not that Boise per se. This is as close to power run as you could get at that level of football. What's interesting to me is it's probably better for Penn State to deal with a team like this right now that does not expose its deficiencies. So I don't know if this is the trick game. I think this may be the running back everyone ignored, throughout the regular season. I don't want to say ignored. He got invited to New York, but the running back that was sort of ignored, ends up breaking off and having his sort of, better than a Heisman moment if they upset him.
Stephen Godfrey with us this morning on New Year's Eve. Godfrey, who's this game bigger for as it pertains to, I guess, scenarios of how it could play out? Penn State winning it, or Ashton Jeanty being a valid NFL running back prospect coming into this game? Because this is a real matchup for him.
I think there's a way that if Jeanty doesn't have a 100, 150-plus type game where his draft stock is more than likely intact based on the body of his work, and they're just going to look at, hey, it was an overwhelming defensive front. He saw front seven that was just simply better than what Boise had. I don't know if how do you rewrite James Franklin's legacy after this? Seriously, to go through in this game where, technically you're the visitor, but I mean, come on, it's a neutral site game. It's, which is it the Fiesta Bowl? I don't even know which ones these things are. It doesn't really matter. This would be, to me, devastating. And I've described the Franklin era before. It's like he sort of painted himself into an expensive corner. What I mean by that is, he maintains a level of success at Penn State that 90% of the programs in college football would kill for, right? And he's compensated accordingly. The problem is that when do you reset your clock? When do you change? When do you do something different? He's not probably ever going to be an NFL guy. He's not going to get an open job at the very, very top of college football. So what are you left to do but try to win a national title. And even if they get past Boise here, I definitely don't think they're maybe the fourth or fifth best equipped team to win a national title alive in this bracket. So there's a kind of a perpetual pressure with Franklin, and also as everyone who's lived in Nashville for a long time knows, he's so unafraid of a microphone. He's so unafraid of putting himself out there that, it just, to me, it raises that awareness even more. And look, it's been a long time now. We can kind of say this openly. There was a standard at Penn State to win national titles regardless of what happened at the end of the Paterno era, and that has not been met yet.
Right. So, and in that too, speaking of standards, man, I want to ask you this because I'm sure we can go on and on about it. How close is college football to bottoming out? Meaning guys are hopping into the portal to get higher pay, meaning Penn State is in the college football playoffs and their backup quarterback, who they have a package for, Bo Pribula, is now going to Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. Like, how close, in your opinion, with the way this thing is structured, is it to bottoming out right now?
You know what? It might need a controlled burn, like they say about nature. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm not cheering on the demise of anything. I'm not saying that this thing should be broken because someone deserves this. But what I am saying is there has to be a point in which, look, the NCAA as a governing body is now toothless. They cannot equip themselves to legislate this out. And that's because of what's happened at the federal and Supreme Court level. I don't want to get to, U.S. News and World Report right now, but no one is in place, what I'm trying to say, to fix this. So something has to happen that slows this down and forces us all to stop and re-examine it. We've had two backup quarterbacks in two playoffs that have bowed out. Yeah. Last year was the kid at Texas. His name escapes me. It didn't really matter because they still had, Arch becomes the de facto backup, right? That kid left too, and Texas went in to play Washington. And we didn't really talk about it because it didn't really impact him. This one could, I think Bo was something in the average of like 8 to 10 to 12 plays. Basically like he had a package per game, right? Yeah. Kind of a Tebow-esque thing. His absence, if this is a close game or if they lose the next one, will definitely be felt and those questions will be asked. I still don't think that's going to move the needle enough for people to realize how broken the month of December and January is in college football.
Yep.
These kids are forced into unwinnable situations. Some of these coaches are too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's a slew of bowl games every year where you have two interim head coaches and GAs are calling plays. So, this is just going to persist as long as we tolerate it. So I don't know if this instance is the big one. Maybe it's a starting receiver. Maybe it's your number one receiver who enters the portal, even though your team's a 12 seed in the playoff next year. And he has to because of his own, personal financial reasons. Mm-hmm. Something like that is going to have to wake us up.
No doubt. Godfrey, I remember when I was playing with Pittsburgh, and Ben Roethlisberger got, I think it was like $28 million a year or something like that. And at that point, everybody was like, what in the world? Like the numbers, right, were going up, and it was crazy. And, right now the NFL is at $55 million a year for a starting franchise quarterback. What we're seeing right now is Tulane transfer quarterback. If true, Darian Mensah has, I think, reset the floor. What is it, $4 million a year for a transfer quarterback? Godfrey, are they ready for that? Like, at what point does a cap or baseline for positional pay goes in? Because if Duke can pay $4 a year for a transfer quarterback, what is Texas willing to pay Godfrey?
That's the problem, is that in the NFL, it's a cap-based structure like you talked about. And we also, all these numbers are out publicly.
Yeah.
When someone makes a bold or a splashy move in the NFL free agency, we're all aware of it, and then they're judged accordingly. You can sign the decaying body of Kirk Cousins to $160 million guaranteed, and people are going to find out, right? You don't have that kind of transparency in college. That's the problem. The other problem is there's no cap, and we don't even know what the total funds at some of these schools are. I've had boosters who are working different collectives at schools lie to my face about the numbers they're operating with because they don't want the competition to know, hey, we've got an extra couple million in this war chest or in this kitty or whatever. Oh. Look, this thing is as deregulated as it can be right now. So the problem is what we would like to do logically is say, hey, all right, let's roughly what about how much am I going to pay for a quarterback every year? How much am I going to pay for, a top end if I want to get a feature back, a first and second down back in this style of offense? Roughly what should I allocate for that? We don't really know. The market won't suss out because the market doesn't have transparency. So what usually happens in those instances is that a lot of people are going to get underpaid, and one or two people are going to get drastically overpaid. Yeah. And the other thing is we just don't know how much money each school has and where that line really cuts off. Like I've heard some stories, just to give you an example, like in the American, which is sort of the midway point of college football, right? Like pretty much everyone is functioning with an NIL in the millions above that, and then it's questionable below that. But within that within that conference, it's like the Wild West. Some schools are scraping together pennies, and some schools that might be in a major city in Texas are funding something that looks a lot closer to a Power 4 program. And so you're going to see that disparity really shine in the next couple of years, because we're all supposed to be playing the same football game in the same league in the same conference. And so this is where, something's got to get. I mean, it goes back to the question about the quarterbacks. Like, something's got to give. We're just going to continue to watch this happen until the personnel system breaks.
Stephen Godfrey, you could check out his work, Godfrey at splitzoneduo.com, joining us this morning on RKW. Speaking of a quarterback who did transfer from Washington State to Miami, who is probably going to be a top 3 pick in this upcoming NFL draft, decided to sit out in the second half of their bowl game. They obviously ended up losing that bowl game, and he has caught a lot of heat. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, Godfrey, because everybody has an opinion on this one.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be contrarian. I just kind of shrugged at it. I mean, it's the sanctity of the Pop-Tarts Bowl. What are we doing here?
I mean, I was more excited about watching the Pop-Tarts the whole time.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, and look, we should congratulate the Bulls who get it, and the idea of like, hey, this is an exhibition. Let's hand the players some gifts. Let's have some fun with this. This is a television-engineered product. None of these stadiums are close to full. Right, you're just not creating the traditional college football environment here. These things are for television inventory, which is fine. That's fine. But don't sit here and tell me about the sanctity of football when we're putting 2 random 6, 7, 8 win teams together where, there's like 2 coaches on the staff left and there's 20 players in the portal. It's a very Miami thing to happen, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Because it only reinforces this idea that John Ruiz down there is funding this sort of like mercenary outfit of guys who are almost paid by the play, and you can go back to the 80s and that idea of like, I know it really pushes that attitude and mentality. And then for the third and fourth quarters to have happened the way they did, I think that's why we're talking about it that much. I don't think anyone in the brain trust in the core group at Miami, Mario Cristobal, to the people who are running this sort of consortium of NIL money, I don't think they care. Mm-hmm. I really don't. Yeah. I think that he got to New York, and I think that they're probably a Syracuse defensive implosion away from that SMU spot in the playoff where they would have been at Penn State. I think that's how they're judging this. I think they operate very similar to that mentality of Ole Miss, which was like, we don't use 2024 as a case example as to why not to do this. We use it as a case example of like, we need to do this more. We actually need to be spending more money. We need to continue to push because this is where we're at. So we're not going to, and this is why it goes back to like no one having an argument with Cam Ward on the sidelines. We don't want a bad name out there as an employer in the market, if you will. Right?
Great point.
So these things are transactional. Down to the snap and the play, like once that guy got his whatever it was,
his record,
the record, it was like, okay, our business deal is done.
Yeah, you're not lying. I mean, and that them is the apples nowadays. Like that's how it is. It's how the cookie crumbles and all those other things that you want to say, because it is now just kind of like a business when it's all said and done. Godfrey, when you look at this quarterfinal, who's the most intriguing team in terms of their matchup?
Ooh, I would love to paint you a romantic picture about Arizona State here.
I know. Wait, could
like
you
Scadaboo's so fun to watch.
I love saying his name.
I mean, kid starts at Sacramento State. Like, I watched a couple of their games earlier this year. I think Dillingham's done a fantastic job, but oof, this is I'm a big fan of trying to reinforce the Cinderella concept of this, like, everyone in college football has a shot and the sports better when the entire nation's involved. But talent for talent in that matchup, they don't win ever. Like,
Right.
even at running back and in the running game.
Right.
That one feels particularly kind of depressing to me, honestly, because like I think it's going to be used in the offseason to say, like, we've got to redo the playoff, we've got to put more Big Ten and SEC teams in. It is unfortunate for Arizona State, definitely, I would say. The heavyweight fight is Ohio State, Oregon, and then I think had the quarterback injury to Beck not happened, I think you could have said it was a dual sort of heavyweight fight with Notre Dame and Georgia. I'll be interested from the 10,000-foot perspective if in any way, shape, or form Notre Dame pulls this off. Will there be any confirmation, coronation, whatever, of that program, the modern era, and what they've done to rework how they evaluate personnel and everything they've done since they got blown out in these title games under Brian Kelly? Because Freeman is a legit recruiter and developer. Or are people just going to shrug and say, well, Georgia didn't have a quarterback?
Yeah. That's it. You just never know how it's going to go. I've seen some people also, speaking of Carson Beck, say it's foolish of him to try to enter into the NFL draft and everything. We'll see what his stock look like. But, Godfrey, I got another one for you, man, as it pertains to the business of this. Have you heard, because we always glorify the NIL and portal, have you heard many horror stories, man, as it pertains to guys hop in with momentum and get stuck? I think there's over 5,000 plus in the portal right now. What is the other side of this transfer portal life that most people don't hear about?
It's not good. And everything I'm about to say is not an indictment of the process, because it is providing the labor of this game more agency than they've ever had. In other words, the ability to build a better life for yourself and for your family. And I mean, look, the Diego Pavia situation boils down to the fact that, like, let's just be honest here. That's going to allow that kid to make money off of his hard work playing the game of football for one more year in his life. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's for sure never going to be an NFL quarterback, but I mean, the odds are overwhelmingly against him, right? So the problem is those become these sort of campfire stories that younger or less talented players, or players who honestly do need the more conservative ethos of staying in a system, getting coached hard, increasing self-discipline, working on technique, playing in a program where they get more snaps that isn't necessarily the richest one. I mean, all these things can be true too. A lot of players get antsy. They are 19. I was a functioning idiot at 19.
Me too.
A functioning idiot at 24. But like because there's no regulation in the market because of the NCAA and the United States government, there's also no oversight. And so you have these guys who are, let's all use our big finger quotes here, agents preying on these guys after you got one solid year at a Conference USA school. Maybe you put some numbers on the board, a skill position, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, man, I can get you the SEC. And these guys are coming out of the woodwork. Sneaker pimps, we used to call them in the 80s.
I like that.
And like that's the part that scares me, is that some guys who just absolutely need to stay where they are and continue pushing on are getting bad intel, because you can fake the intel. You can say, oh yeah, I know a guy, he got paid this, he's getting this, it is hard for me to feel bad for some of these coaches, but I do know this: at the rank and file level, away from the millionaire coaches, guys who are coaching in the FCS, guys who are coaching at the low tier group of 5 schools, within the listening distance of this radio station, their life sucks right now because they are trying to scrape together an extra $5,000, $10,000 for every single one of their players, because they're getting hit up. It's just a feeder chain, Yeah. If you're Tennessee and you're pulling from the best G5 players in the country to backfill on a portal, and those schools have to do it, and those schools have to do it. It goes all the way down to low tier FCS schools, subdivision 1, where they're just like, hey, I'm trying to find $1,000 for this guy from our, local car wash or whatever. And that's good for the player, but there's no system in place. And so this process is never stopping. I am not a fan of Mike Gundy. I want to be really clear about this. Mm-hmm. But he did say something very true at the beginning of the season, which he's just said, like, we have to tell them we're done with that part of the year. The NCAA won't do it. But we had players coming in and saying, "Hey, I need an extra 2,500," and we're like, "No, we're in fall camp right now." Yeah. Can you guys imagine if the NFL ran like that?
Oh my gosh. I mean,
That's
it's called a holdout, but you also get knocked for that too. Like they pull money from you for holdouts.
Yep.
When you get fined because the NFLPA has an agreement with the league, and none of this exists. We are in the Wild West right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff from Stephen Godfrey, our good friend, joining us today on RKW. You can go check out his work, Godfrey at splitzoneduo.com. Enjoy the football today and tomorrow, and Happy New Year.
Safe travels.
Happy New Year, guys. I'll see you guys soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thanks again. That was Stephen Godfrey of Split Zone Duo. Always love hearing him on the show. I know he got to come in here live.
He did. He was good live, too.
I'm excited for when I'm in here when he's live because he just seems like he could go any direction. That's why we love to have him on the show. All right, when we come back, wrapping up hour 2 of the show, and we're going to talk about a GOAT in the NBA who is reaching the big 4-0. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's LeBron James, and why he might not be playing much longer. We'll get that to you coming up next here on RKW 104.5 The Zone.
Two-Tone Blue Nation, come tailgate with us at Gray and Dudley's Bankers Alley Hotel. It might be getting cold, but we're staying warm and taking it inside for the game this weekend against Houston. It's still got the same delicious food, craft cocktails, family-friendly atmosphere, and exclusive game day valet parking for just $30. Or you could dine at Gray and Dudley and enjoy discounted parking for only $20. So come join us at Gray and Dudley's tailgate at the Bankers Alley Hotel. It's the perfect way to start your game day. For more details, go to 1045thezone.com.
Welcome back to RKW. Wrapping up hour 2 on this New Year's Eve. Kayla Anderson, Ramon Foster, Robert Walsh, and LeBron James turning 40 years old. I cannot believe he's 40. I actually feel like he's 50 because he's been playing so long.
I know.
It's wild to think about. And he still continues to do it at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
So when he faces the Cavaliers, obviously his former team he won a championship with, today, he will become just the 32nd player to appear in an NBA game in his 40s. That's according to ESPN research. So he is revved and ready to go. However, he said while he feels like he could play at a high level for probably another 5 to 7 years, he says, I'm not going to do that. So how much longer does Bron have? I mean, he got to play with the son a little bit.
He did.
He got his son drafted into the organization.
Yeah, my oldest was telling me about this story yesterday. I was just like, man, if he feel like he can play another 4 to 5 years, I believe LeBron.
I know, me too.
At this point, the way he take care of his body and just, I mean, he is probably the greatest athlete of our generation with what he's done with his body. Like, I know we can put pictures in there, but like, or, you know, baseball, Mookie Betts. In that conversation
From
himself,
right
too. Like, I think Mookie's in that conversation. LeBron's in that conversation. I don't know if Steph Curry is a skill or is it like, I don't know how to categorize his because he's not, you know, dunking, jumping, running, all those types of things. But Mookie and LeBron, to me, I think are one-on-ones when it comes down to it. Not Steph's great. There's other greats in this era. But watching what he does is totally different. How much longer? Father Time always wins. It does. It'll be the craziest fluke injury or situation that sets a guy like him down, but I'm amazed at it. He's that good at it, Kayla. And if you're asking me how much longer, 1, maybe 2 more. He's done the ultimate thing. He survived long enough to, he lasted. I say survived like he had to go to war. So
I know, right?
He lasted long enough in his league with his production and effect on it that he saw his son make it to it. And that debut.
That's wild.
I mean, seriously, what more do you want? I mean, I remember listening to Ken Griffey Jr. speak about him and his dad having that moment. And for LeBron the last 20 years to get to this point right now, I mean, if he bows out, good. If he plays again, I don't think anybody's going to bat an eye.
No.
You know?
I think
give him
it's a win-win
maybe
either
2
way.
more years. So 1, maybe 2 more years.
Yeah. Did you know, like, when you decided to hang up the cleats after 11 years in the NFL, like, did you know exactly when that moment was? I'm always curious with professional athletes. Like, for me, if I were playing, just the type of person I would be, it would be when the passion was totally done for that sport, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, as being an athlete and who did that, what was it that was like, hey, this is the end?
It was midway through my last year in 2019. That's when it was. It was comprised of like losing. And we went 8-8 my last year. Heck, we had a string of games where we ended up going, I'm looking at it right now, 4 wins in a row, like 3 wins in a row. Like we had that. We lost the last 3. And at that point, the season was burying on me a little bit, was like weighing on me a little bit more.
Sure.
That offseason, actually. I had some long talks with my wife. I had some talks with Savage, Ron, Slay on how are we going to do this? I'll be honest, me getting that last little payday helped out because the recovery, Kayla, in that last 2019 summer just took longer to get ready to go work out.
Yeah.
The feelings
became more of a task.
It became more of a task. And like I was still having fun. The building was good. That last year I played without Pounce. I played without Ben. Like there was just a lot of like, do I want to go through this again? And then luckily for me, sucks for the world, but COVID hit. And at that point right there, I was just of the mindset like, I don't want to go through this testing every day. Could I have gotten another situation? Probably. It'll have to be the right situation for me to go play. But when I had that phone call with the ownership and Coach Tomlin, I was relieved. Like 11 years for an undrafted guy, played well, done everything you're supposed to. Like I had hit a point of relief to where I was just like, yeah, I'm good on the game.
Not even just 11 years. Like that's how long you were professional. But you had been you were in college for years.
Exactly.
You played high school for years. You played Pee Wee. Football was your whole life.
Exactly.
And then it's something you didn't have to wake up. You're like, oh, I ain't got to do rehab. I ain't got to get in the cold tub. I ain't got to do off-season training. Like you gained freedom.
It was that and that's what it was. It was freedom at that point. Like I went through it. In the era I played in, it's a little bit different. Like my middle school football coach finals probably wrecked my blocking because he had us blocking with our forearms, the way they used to do in like the 70s and 80s and stuff. Because he was old school. Then I go from that to two-a-days in high school, like having to do all of those things. And I did two-a-days in the NFL. I did two-a-days in college.
That's right. You did have two-a-days in
So to your point, Bert, like
NFL
there
too.
was a lot of football. And on top of that, start off the career the way you did, undrafted, having to fight. Like I was, to Bert's point, like relieved of football.
We got to this conversation talking about 40-year-old LeBron. There's another 40-year-old I would like to have some issue with. It's the 40-year-old Candy that Dawn left in the break room. So Dawn, trying to do the right thing, going into the new year, wants to be healthy, left a bag of candy and goodies, fruit snacks, suckers, anything you
putting them on the cam for people to
anything you
see.
can think of in this bag. Left a nice note like, hey guys, cleaning out my pantry. My trash is your treasure. Have this candy. Well, me and Ramon started looking at it. I was like, oh, here's a Quest bar. Hell yeah, I'm going to get the healthiest thing out of here. It went bad in September. Looked at some, what was it? It was animal crackers. Went bad in 2023.
Yes.
Dawn is trying to poison us. Dawn is trying to set us back. So, Dawn, if you out there driving around going 80 and a 50, listen, we got to check the dates because my ass will eat anything that's left out.
Especially candy for me.
Right. Like, so we got to do better. Maybe that's on me. Maybe I got to look at the date.
She hit us with this weak doggone sandwich cookie, and they're like, if your cookie is called some sandwich double stacker cookie, then it's not Oreo, Chips Ahoy, nothing. Babs, do better if
the
you don't give
generic
us.
brands?
You got the money.
That's so
Tell them to get the name brand.
The mouse ain't cheap. I know they paying you on the sideline, Babs. You can do better with these snacks. No wonder Hatley's mad around the house. Like, seriously.
Thank you for the candy, Dawn.
I haven't checked the expiration,
you.
but I took the whole box of dots.
Don't check. If you want them, don't check the date, okay? Because clearly she don't care about us.
I've just been craving them now. This made my morning. I kind of made it sneaky. I put it under my shirt coming into the room. I felt bad about taking the whole box.
No, don't
Makes
feel
me
bad.
feel better now.
You
They
ain't gonna
might be
split it with
expired.
nobody. Hell
Right?
no.
I don't want them
Exactly.
now.
Oh, goodness. RK Dub, wrapping up hour 2 here. When we return, we'll get going on hour 3, and there are going to be some coaching vacancies, guys. It is what it is. There always is. Ron Rivera, we've got Rex Ryan. They're going to be interviewing for the Jets job. And then Mike Vrabel. Where the heck is Mike Vrabel going to land? Because I think he's going to land somewhere. We'll get into all of that coming up next here on RK Dub 104.5 The Zone.
What's going on? 8:01, good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Lions pull back into the game after a strong second half to beat the 49ers 40-34. Jared Goff finishes 26 of 34 for 303 yards, 3 touchdowns. On defense, Kirby Joseph with 2 interceptions, 3 if you count the one taken away by penalties. Lions move to 14-2 and are on a collision course with the Vikings in Week 18 for all the marbles. NFC North champion and the number 1 seed in the NFC will be decided in Detroit next week on Sunday Night Football. In Titans news, yesterday, Brian Callahan spoke to the media and laid out the game plan for quarterback in the regular season finale against the Texans.
I'm actually going to probably play both of them, to be honest. Let those guys both have a chance to play. Don't know what and where that looks like. We're still really early in it, but I think both guys will have some opportunities. I'll let you know by the end of the week, starter, all that stuff. But I think both guys should play some football at the end of the year.
For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome into hour 3 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on this Tuesday morning, a special Tuesday, as we are saying goodbye to 2024 and soon to be saying hello to 2025. We say hello to you alongside our VFL, our Vol for Life. It's Ramon Foster.
Hey.
We've got Robert Walsh making it all happen, spinning the hits behind the glass. I'm Kayla Anderson. Will bowling out today. And we're talking a little bit of everything today. Really glad to have Stephen Godfrey on in the 7 o'clock hour, always bringing us some great information in terms of college football, the business side of it now. I thought that was a great type of conversation that you were asking him about with some of those questions that it just seems crazy in this day and age. We're having these, but this is where we're at. This is where we've landed in terms of college football. So we'll see where it navigates, here and beyond. But right now, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West, like Godfrey said.
It is, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. Some coaches like it. Again, It depends upon the bag that you're working with or how serious you're trying to be as a competitor as a school. So we'll see, but of course, the haves and the have-nots, I feel like, are very much spread apart right now. And if you're a team, and I'll even say the Vols, this is where fandom really comes into play right now. How good do you want your team to be? All right, yeah, I think they're charging, a 3% charge or something like that on tickets and sales and stuff like that on certain universities. The Vols are doing it. The pressure, I feel like now, from the fan base and from Spire Collective or Vol, Connect, whatever it's going to be, is going to be higher on the fans to continue to donate, continue to pour in, because if you like that feeling of being good, the fan base is going to have to pay a little bit. And that's where I think the change is going to happen when it comes down to what is your fan base willing to do?
Sure.
How long are they willing to pour in if you're either not making the college football playoffs or the guy that you were super excited about being this 5-star plus athlete leaves after 1 year? And what were my monies for? I could have kept my little 2 nickels. You know what I'm saying? So at some point it'll happen. But I don't think we're nowhere close to it right now.
No, we're going to have to deal with this for a few more years. And like you said, I'm happy that these players are getting paid. That's not the conversation I'm trying to have. It's just at regulating some of this as we, head into a bigger landscape of college football now. So you can watch us if you want to do that live on the F&M Bank chat. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. And you can also give us a call today. Phone lines have been rather quiet today, which is not very, surprising, considering people are probably sleeping in, getting ready for the new year.
You checked our parking lot. Heck, we're the only ones here.
Nobody's here. We're pretty much the only ones at Cumulus today.
Us and Babs Candy.
Yeah. Us and Babs Candy, which, by the way, I have ripped open the Welchers or Welch's, excuse me. So these might be expired, but I don't give a damn because I need something to clear my throat. So thanks, Dawn, for providing me with Welch's this morning.
I'm not thanking her. You can thank her all you want. I'm not thanking her. Me and Bert have drawn a line in the sand as it pertains to the quality of these candies and snacks, okay? Bert even chose a healthy snack, and it was still expired.
It was still expired.
You know, it's one of those, what is it, the ants on Facebook? Expired. Expired. Yeah, that's where we are right now with you and your candy selection, Babs.
Still tasted good.
It did. Well,
I'm not supposed to tell her that.
I mean, I was going to eat it regardless.
If anyone's going to eat it, Bert is. That's what I was going to say. He's had belly aches before after eating stuff out of the fridge, okay? If there's going to be some coaching jobs that expire, y'all, starting here at the end of the regular season. One of those jobs that is up for grabs right now, obviously, is the New York Jets. They fired the coach way back, Robert Saleh, way back in the beginning of the season.
He gone.
So former Jets coach Rex Ryan, who actually lives right here in Nashville, said Monday on ESPN radio in New York that he expects to interview for the team's head coaching job. Besides Ryan, they're also expected to interview Ron Rivera. And I know you know Ron Rivera.
Yeah, we had a conversation.
He's revered as a very, I feel like, good coach. He is well thought of in the world of the NFL. So curious on what you think about these two candidates in particular. Maybe even Rex Ryan returning.
Yeah, no, listen, if the Jets are going to take back Rex Ryan, they might as well go get Sam Darnold while he had it too.
Right.
And go get Mike Vick because he's coaching too now.
Bring the game back together.
Bring back everybody at this point, man. But I think it shows now just maybe some of the power. No, and I don't think it's all the power. Maybe some of the decision making has been taken out of their owners' hands. Like they're being thorough with
Woody
the
Johnson?
GM search. Yeah, Woody Johnson. Like I think, however this broke down, unless they just got a very incompetent GM that's there right now and what's going on, but decision makers is just what I would call it. Like the Aaron Rodgers fiasco, that whatever that turned into right now.
And it still is kind of there, right?
They're lifting every single rug and fake rock around the house to figure out what they're going to be as a coach. I mean, as a franchise moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
If I was them, like most NFL fan bases, though, they get to this point, you get fed up. The losing, the continued losing, the continue hype me up to let me down midway through the season, the continued just carousel of coaches. I think exploring Rex Ryan, maybe not necessarily as a head coach because they've tried that. You know, it's just like trying to go date your ex again. It's just like, no, we broke up for a reason. Yep. And that's the way I feel about this situation with Rex Ryan. Like, all right, he was a bad man when he was with Baltimore and he had the defensive line, right, Bert? You remember that era of Rex Ryan over there?
For sure.
A goose. Yeah. Like, they had all of those, like, one of the baddest defenses out. And, of course, it's hard going back on the bench, too. So I can understand Rex Ryan wanting to be a head coach, but sometimes it's all right to be the lieutenant. And maybe that's the role that he needs to play, or maybe he needs to be surrounded, you know, with who's going to be the next guy. I just can't see a retread of Rex Ryan. I think they're paying him respect because of what he's done in this league. Heck, he got them to the AFC Championship. If I'm not mistaken, it was in 2010. I forget the team that they lost to. It was the Steelers. I was on that team. But what I'm saying is this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He's been close. He's done some good things in Buffalo. But I just don't get the retread of it. And it just shows you where they are because they've interviewed a ton of people for this job. I got Nagy down in with the Senior Bowl. He
Jim
interviewed
Nagy,
for the GM job. So there's a lot that they got going on. Rivera, he is one of those guys, man. He can be a franchise settler.
Do players love him from what you understand?
Yeah, because he's a former player himself.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to have his ways. He's going to have discipline. He's going to have guys. And here's another thing. He's going to want a quarterback. You know, so do you want to put yourself in that situation if you're him, knowing that you don't have a quarterback? Or do you want to potentially be hired in Chicago where he played at and take that job? Because they got a young quarterback, you know? So there's options. I think the Jets going to have to either pay a premium for a guy that's going to have to come in and pay that mess because they're dealing with a team right now that's in the AFC East that's dealing with the exact same situation. That's the Patriots. Mm-hmm. Like right now, if you go get the wrong coach or you don't have the quarterback or you don't have a good enough roster, you find yourself in year one like you are with Gerard Mayo with the Patriots. Or, to be quite honest, like Coach Brian Callahan
right here.
Like, those are the scenarios that you put yourself in. So if Woody Johnson's going to back out and let football people do football things and not, you know, bet everything on Aaron Rodgers or just one particular player, then they're going about it the right way. Maybe they're doing a lot of just question asking.
Leave no stones unturned type of thing.
Like, and because here's the thing, in those interviews, you gotta like give everything.
Mm-hmm.
You have to tell them what your plans are, the coaches that you do and don't like, and how do you feel about our team? I'm guessing those are some of the questions that happen at this time of the year when they're interviewing guys. So maybe they're getting a lot of intel on what people think about them, how far they are truly away, and they got to make the right decision because that's a big old market for them to be that bad.
Yeah,
they get primetime games just for the heck of just because of the city they're in.
I mean, they got primetime games, almost all of them this year, and then clearly we saw what happened. A lot of that because Aaron Rodgers is on the roster, and obviously the defense was, well thought of until we've seen what happened this year. It's been an absolute disaster.
It's been a crap show is what it's
in
been.
New York, and that's what kind of happens year in and year out for them. So you're right, Ramon. They've really got to get it right because they keep setting themselves back. Also, per Adam Schefter, Mike Vrabel's consulting agreement with the Cleveland Browns, it expired yesterday. So he is on the market. He is a free agent. He's ready to go. And I know national media, like they love him, they've said, he is one of the well-liked candidates out there for an NFL coaching job this year. Where's his best fit?
Where's his best fit? I ain't got a clue. It's going to be somewhere where he can have control. And I say that in the sense of that's proven to be his demeanor a little bit. I think it's going to have to be a team that understands grit. I think it's going to have to be a team that he can incorporate his own philosophies into having it be a run-first, hard-nosed type of squad. And right now, I don't know who or where that team is, to be completely honest with you. Some are saying the Miami job may be up, right? Like, there's a lot of speculation on a few teams this year on where he's going to go. I know there's
I've even heard Chicago.
Chicago would be another one. I don't know if they're going to relinquish that type of power to a guy like him, considering how strong their GM is. Right. Ryan Poles, like, he's not a pushover type of guy. So I don't know if Vrabel's going to be able to handle it unless he's going to learn how to collaborate. But that's neither here nor there, though, Kayla. So I'm fascinated into seeing it. Here's also what I would tell people too: just pull the curtain back real quick. Why did Adam Schefter have that information yesterday?
Great question.
If you ever want to know whose people's sources are or who their leaks are, just why did that was a random news.
It was a random
yesterday.
nugget.
Yeah, who does that serve?
It was a really random nugget.
If information is ever getting outburst to Adam Schefter and it's a Mike Vrabel-like team, where do you think that information comes from?
It definitely came from Mike Vrabel's camp. If you ever have to wonder where something or why something got leaked, who does it benefit most?
Yeah.
It benefits Mike Vrabel to keep his name in the cycle.
Absolutely.
So
by the way,
on a hidden contract and details, where did he get that information in?
I have a place that I think would be, in my opinion, the best fit for Mike Vrabel. The New Orleans Saints. Mike Vrabel has done more with less than anyone else, and while they're navigating this difficult cap situation, I would want someone who can get Jimmy and Joe's to score on peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
While at the first few years, while Mike Vrabel is building this up, having lesser-known players come in and play bigger roles, and they're not new to giving a coach a lot of room to stretch himself out with Sean Payton. So I think that they would be okay. And honestly, they're looking for a massive shift.
They need a big
in
reset.
the way, and a reset, like you said. So I think Vrabel going there could do a lot for them. I think he would mesh well with their veterans. It would just make a lot of sense to me. And probably the weakest division in the NFL, where you could come in and know if you can compete, you would have a chance to win the NFC South and go to the playoffs every year.
That's a good one.
He could really break that team down because they're about to be fractured big time. They are.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Who is there? Is Carr not even there next year?
Carr is still under contract there,
okay.
but they got Spencer Rattler, they got Jake Haener. They have options at quarterback, but the salary cap is really where they're limited.
It's bad.
They got a bonus third-round pick. That's about it.
Exactly. And that's the thing, though. I mean, who knows how many offers Vrabel will have, and if that was the lesser offer, you're obviously going to go with something in terms of better. Dealing with salary cap is a real situation. So it will be interesting to see, but that's not bad. And I actually kind of like that fit as well. All right, we are going to head in the direction of the Vols next. That's right. It has been wild. Vol Twitter has been like trending. There is transfer news, all of that good stuff. We're going to catch up with Austin Price of VolQuest next for the latest. That's coming up on RKW 104.5 The Zone. Hey, we all love living in Nashville, one of the best cities. And with all the growth, it can make it a little difficult to find a real estate agent you can trust. That's why I'm excited to introduce you to my friend Bernie Gallerani. Bernie has a proven track record, so much so he's going to guarantee to sell your home in 30 days or less, or he's just going to buy it from you. Recently, Danica and her husband, they were looking for a new home, expecting it to be a stressful process. But working with the Bernie Gallerani real estate team was quite the opposite. They experienced personalized service, clear communication, and it made the process smooth and effortless. What we all want, right? Well, Bernie is the only real estate agent in Nashville, also recommended by Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank. If you watch the show, you know her. Love that show. And is the only agent I would trust to sell my home. Bernie Gallerani, the real estate agent, who has the 30-day guarantee to sell your home or he will buy it from you guarantee. Give Bernie a call on his personal cell phone, 615-428-2644. That's 615-428-2644, or simply go to BernieGallerani.com. Welcome back into RK on this Tuesday morning. Austin Price coming up here in just a second here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Going to talk to him a little bit about what's been going on in the transfer portal. There's been a lot of noise around the Vols program. I know with earlier this week, Ramon, when there was all the circulation going on about Nico Iamaleava and possibly being a little flirty with Miami. I mean, were you guys ever nervous that could be a real thing?
No, because his dad came out and said, "You bleepers are lying."
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, Pops shut that down. Now, there's probably somebody that reached out and wanted to have a conversation with him. I mean, there's always that. I mean, we saw, it was reported allegedly that there was a player from Alabama that hopped in a portal because they said Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, hey, say, you can get this from us if you just hop in a portal and come over. I don't doubt it. Like, it's one thing to deny publicly, but privately, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. His pop said, no, we ain't got no time to be doing those types of things. And I feel him. When you busy and locked in, there is no time for much, okay? But his dad said they're all Vol. As I know right now, the portal is closed down. So I was glad to see his pops kind of dead that situation. It was fascinating to see. I know, and here's the thing too. That was Vol Twitter just in its prime, just finding ways to just be so bad and negative. I think still this fan base is at a point where you're waiting on the ball to drop, and sometimes just be in the moment. Nico seems to be secure.
Joining us now, as he does every Tuesday, our good friend Austin Price of VolQuest. Austin, how are you doing? And Happy New Year's Eve.
Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. I'm doing well.
Good.
Well, I was just talking to Ramon on how Vol Twitter is been blowing up this week. Give us the state right now of the transfer situation, the transfer portal. What's the latest here going into the new year?
Everybody's just kind of waiting on Mike Matthews and kind of what decision he's going to make. He requested his papers and, filled them out, I believe. And, when will he go in the portal? Does he request to come out of the portal? He's been talking to Josh Heupel and the Tennessee staff a lot the last, 48 hours or so. And, we'll see what happens. Tennessee has 48 hours to put him in from the moment he fills out the paperwork, turns it in, and then watches what is like a portal, kind of like Portal 101. There's a video you have to watch. So once he completes all that, and they have 48 hours to put him in. So it wasn't as simple as just 48 hours from Saturday night. And then you got to factor in the holiday, which is, tomorrow. And so, if he doesn't request to have his name pulled out, you're probably looking at, probably Thursday or so before he would go into the transfer portal officially, which would make him a fair game for every school in the country to contact. So it'll be interesting to see what he does over the next 24, 36 hours. And if he decides to go in, I would say the chances of him coming back are rather slim. And if he decides to pull out, then I think obviously Tennessee would feel good about his chances of coming back.
Austin, when you look at, you said they got to have a conversation. Like, I picture that building, the facility over there, right? Is it just player and coaches having to sit down, or is it mom, dad, representation, agents, and stuff like that are expressing their plans whenever they have these long sit downs to discuss what's next?
Well, I think every kid's different. I think in this instance, it's just mom, dad, and Mike talking with Hype and Kelsey Pope and Joey Halsley and those guys. So, I don't think it's like I said, every situation is different, but in this case, I think it's just, the mom, dad, and Mike that are involved. And I think, in talking to them and, a few others, like it feels like that, there was some unrest about, some of the chatter that was out there about Nico might leave and that's his quarterback. And I think, he was afraid Nico might leave. And so he kind of, probably knee-jerked it a little bit to ask for the papers. But then once you do, enough people start reaching out through back channels, to kind of maybe give you a little bit of pause. So now it's just about, it's almost re-recruiting Mike, so to speak. I know some fans are going to hate that. I get it. I mean, it's a different era. You have to do different things. You have to adjust and adapt. And, arguably nobody's adapted better to the new era than Tennessee's basketball coach, Rick Barnes, who continues to thrive when a lot of people thought he would go the way of, Roy Williams and some of those other college basketball coaches that have since retired. So, for Tennessee's football staff, they just have to kind of figure it out. And if Mike doesn't come back, then they've got to hit the portal even harder at receiver.
Austin Price of VolQuest joining us this morning on RKW. With Boo Carter, I know there were some thoughts that he could enter the transfer portal, but he is announced that he is going to stay, which is a huge news for the Tennessee Volunteers. Why was he looking, though, maybe to transfer?
Well, I think for Boo, he wanted the opportunity to play some offense. I think going back to the recruiting process, I think he wanted that opportunity. But Tennessee just kind of saw him as a defensive guy. And, I think Tennessee's saw that, Boo's when he's got the ball in his hands, he's, pretty special. And so I think, he's convinced him, hey, I need a shot on offense. And I think Josh Heupel and company are going to be willing to give him a look there to kind of play both and have a package or whatever. And so, I think for Boo, it's more just kind of like, hey, I really want to do this. And, so other schools have kind of back-channeled me. I know I'm talking about back-channels. Everything. Like, that's tampering. Like, well, welcome to college football.
Yeah.
There's no rules right now. It's Katie brought the door, it's Wild Wild West. So there's been enough schools that have reached out to, him and his family that, told him, hey, you can play both here. You can be Travis Hunter, and so he'll have the chance to do that here this coming fall. He's going to have a chance to play both sides of the ball, and we'll kind of see where he goes from there.
Austin Price of VolQuest on 3 with us this morning. Austin, also out of the portal, man, of all seem to be going all in on Zachariah Branch out of USC. How is that recruiting going, man, as far as him and, considering Mike Matthews, how does that look for the Vols, even with Mike Matthews?
Well, I think for Branch, I think the most important thing is he's got to lock in a visit. Like until he locks in a Tennessee visit, he gets to campus, then they're going all in and all that stuff talk is a bit overblown for me. Okay. I think the biggest thing is they're working hard to get him to visit. If he visits, then I think things get real. As of right now, it's just a lot of conversation. So, we'll find out how interested Branch is, and of course he's got his brother as well in the process. There's 2 of them. We'll see how intrigued they are by Tennessee if they take a visit.
No doubt about it. Austin Price with us. Austin, you mentioned something a second ago as far as Nico, the rumblings about, all right, well, maybe he could do something, maybe he wouldn't. His father seemed to shut that down on social media. But in that, the stability of the coaching staff and stuff like that, I had somebody on the NFL level, front office, Austin asked me about wide receivers, coach. Like, there's a lot of wide receivers in this cycle that's hopping into the portal. Is there an issue on that end with Kelsey Pope and how those guys are perceiving him and how they go about, that moving forward, if it is?
I don't know. That's a great question. Obviously, there's some, an Instagram live that's out there. There's some screenshots of a conversation. Now, all these are from players that didn't play a whole lot. And Ramon, as being in the locker room, when you're not playing, how much do you love your position coach?
Yeah, it depends on how they treat me in practice. Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that it's all bad. I'm not saying there's not something to it. I just don't know. I just know that, you have to think about, who's doing the talking. Now, if, guys that are starting are doing similar talking, then that's different. So obviously that's something that Tennessee's going to have to combat. Kelsey Pope's going to have to combat it, because that some of these players have decided to go on Instagram Live and complain, and it's not the first time that's happened to a coach, and plenty of coaches have overcome those type things, and so it's something that I'm sure they'll have to work through over the next little bit. But I think for Kelsey, he's been a guy who's kind of just put his head down and worked since he took the job over 3 years ago for Cody Burns, who went to the NFL and to the Saints, and I think he just is it's just about adapting yourself as a coach and then figuring out everybody's got to look in the mirror and everybody's got to talk to the room and figure out what did or didn't work this year. And I think you have to do that each and every year. With no matter kind of what room you're coaching, quarterbacks, receivers, running backs. I mean, I'm sure Darrell Sims is doing the same thing, or William Inge on defense. Got to just kind of adapt year to year. And so right now I don't have anything pegged as far as coaching changes for Josh Heupel. I said last night in our Monday night chat, I'd be shocked if there's not at least one. Right. Just because there's been one every year he's been here, right? Like, Cody Burns left after year one. Alex Golish left after year two. BJ left after year three, and so did Jerry Mack. And so, to go to the NFL or go to Michigan or whatever. So, you had a couple of guys on expiring contracts on the defensive side of the ball. What happens with them? And I know I've kind of moved around from just the overall wide receiver talk, but that's kind of where we're at with the coaching stuff.
Gotcha.
Austin Price of VolQuest joining us this morning on RKW. Clearly, that's going to be a room that they're going to have to revamp, just like they did with the secondary last year, which ended up being a good room when it's all said and done. But in terms of the tight end position, they are going to be bringing back Miles Kitzelman. Obviously, he announced he's returning for another season. How could you see his role continuing to evolve there for the Vols?
Well, I mean, he and I just think he's got unlimited potential. I mean, I think he's starting to scratch the surface of how good he can be. He and Ethan Davis will be the 1-2 punch. They were never going to keep all three of Kitzelman, Stays, and Davis. So Stays ended up finding himself as kind of the odd man out. And, Kitzelman is still a young guy. I don't know if he's turned 22 yet. I mean, he was, when I interviewed him for Volco Confidential, he was still 21 years old. So he had been, through 4 years of college, but it's a guy that started, when he was 17. So he was, I think he might be 22 now. Either way, he's a fresh 22. And so, he would play next year as a 22-year-old. And, I think those are the top things that, when given an opportunity, once Diego Pavia won his deal, and frees it up for all these, JUCO guys, I think it was a no-brainer because he had not played that much football. And he really enjoyed himself at Tennessee. And, I think it was pretty much a slam dunk. He and I texted a lot, through the whole Pavia thing. And when Pavia won it, he literally came off, I think it was during bowl practice, I'm pretty sure. And I called him, and he literally came up to practice field and said, "I just saw it. I'm on it."
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Because he wants to come back. He wanted to come back, and
that's cool.
And so, he was excited for another opportunity, and because when I interviewed him, he was like, "Man, I just wish it wasn't so short lived. I wish I'd been here sooner." And then kind of when Pavia won that, it kind of gave him life to get another year, and I know Alec Abelin was super excited to be able to get him back.
That's great.
No doubt. Austin, also, too, man, of course, they got a couple players, Moe, after the out of the portal as far as the offensive line goes, but you're losing bodies on both sides, either through the draft or through the portal, in the trenches. We expect to see a younger group somewhat going into the 25 season?
I think that the overall age of your offensive line will be averaged out as younger.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if they take anybody else out of the portal. But I think there's a real good shot David Sanders is your starting right tackle. As long as he can, mentally handle it. Physically, he's going to, be able to, do certain things that are really, really impressive. I think, he has a good shot to win that spot. Wendell Moy will be a one guard spot. Is William Satterwhite your center? What does Tennessee do there? Hurd will be our left tackle, and then what happens at the other guard spot? Yeah. And so, but I do think the average of the O line will be younger. I don't know how much younger. It could be significantly younger, depending on how many guys. If it's Satterwhite and Sanders and someone else that has been on campus versus another transfer, Moy and Hurd. As a couple of older guys, but Lance Hurd's not that old either. Right. So, you lose Cooper Mays older, Spraggins older, John Campbell he's the oldest, and so you're going to have a younger group, not as much experience on that group. But again, you saw with, the secondary a year ago, the secondary stuff or the experience stuff is overrated if you have better talent. So, does Tennessee upgrade their talent? I guess time will tell.
He is Austin Price, our good friend of VolQuest, joining us every Tuesday. We appreciate you. Go check him out at VolQuest.com and his great work that he does there. Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year, Austin.
Hey, Will Bowling. I mean, what was he on, like the universal vacation plan? I mean, this guy, does he ever work anymore?
I think he's calling. Is it tonight's
He
game?
is. He's
right?
calling the game.
Yeah.
He's not
But
giving
look,
him a pass.
we don't like facts here, Kayla, okay? we want to pile on, right, Austin?
I mean, all I know is Bob Kessling once called the basketball game and the football game in the same day.
Ooh.
You're telling me Will couldn't have done this show in the morning, driven the 2.5 hours to Knoxville, called the game tonight, and then driven back through the night and done the show again tomorrow morning? Because I think you absolutely could have.
We don't even have a show tomorrow, Austin.
Don't matter, Kayla. We're not interested in facts.
I'm just saying that's easier.
Yeah, correct. Don't let facts get in the way of the story, Kayla.
We're trying to pile on, Austin. And Danny, just 27, young spring chicken, basically, in the sports media world, correct? I mean,
that's right. I mean, in that world, you got to show you're hungry. You got to be willing to do whatever it takes. I mean, once upon a time when I was calling recruits grassroots, just writing recruiting stories for the Maryville Daily Times, you'll love this, Ron. I called it I got on whitepages.com because I didn't have I now have like a database. Look at that. Yeah, I got on whitepages.com. I called 17. Yeah. There were 17 Stevens in Flower Mound, Texas.
Wow.
And on the 17th Stevens, Nick Stevens picked up.
No way.
So,
Nick?
So where there's a will, there's a way. And truly, Will Bowling's just trying to take the easy way out.
Hey, Austin, all I'm telling you is I ain't keeping tabs, but what I'm saying is this. I did Monday night games in Miami, worked the sideline, late game, get back at about 2, 3 in the morning, and guess who was here for work the next day?
I mean, my house has been hit by the flu, Ramon.
The flu?
I've been getting very little sleep. Phone went off this morning. I'm like, okay, that's just why I sound like I just woke up, because I have. So I mean, we do what we have to do.
Hey, listen, man. Some people do and some people don't. Austin, we know which one he's in right now. He's a donor.
This is so true. And as we know, when Kayla was out and I gave her a hard time, and she probably doesn't know that.
That's all right.
I'm an equal opportunity.
I've never taken a week vacation in my whole career, and damn, I was going to take it if it was a free vacation.
Hey, Austin, I'm glad you were able to pile on the Will, man. I hope his call doesn't go well. No, I'm playing. I hope he has a good call tonight.
No, but what I have caused you is to be late for break, so I will see you guys
That's
next
all right.
week.
That's all right. We appreciate you, Austin. Thank you so much. And Happy New Year again. That is Austin Price of VolQuest joining us like he does every Tuesday. When we return, my goodness, we're already wrapping up hour 3. Like, this is flying by. We're going to take your call, 615-737-1045. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on 1045 The Zone.
Hey, it's Will Bowling. What if I told you there's a way to enjoy pain relief, lower blood pressure, and help with other health issues? What if you could have more energy, stamina, and sleep better? I want to tell you about our Live Wave patches. You ask what they are and how they can help with so many issues. Well, they're the most advanced, multi-patented, non-invasive, and affordable technology in the form of a wearable patch that kind of looks like a Band-Aid. Phototherapy patch. This is going to reflect the infrared heat that your body creates. And this patch has a special pattern that reflects the infrared heat back to your body to activate your stem cells. 501-605-6935. That's the number to remember. 501-605-6935. Our stem cells are responsible for our body healing. So reactivating those stem cells, that's an important part of repairing the body. No drugs, no chemicals. The body's a powerful thing, letting it repair itself. There's a full line of patches that can be used to help with your ailment. Call Pat to get a customized selection at 501-605-6935 or head online to our LiveWave, LIVEWAVE.com. Results vary, but most experience excellent outcomes with energy, better sleep, pain relief, and more. Again, the number 501-605-6935.
Welcome back into RK wrapping up hour 4 here on this New Year's Eve. Sending you into 2025 with some good vibes. You can always give us a call, 615-737-1045. You can get in on the F&M Bank chat. Everybody's in there today. Ron Slay joining the chat. It's been a good morning in there. Got a lot of good conversation going on. Here's a conversation to have. Who's going to be the rookie NFL Player of the Year?
Rookie of the Year?
And, dude, the receiving part of it, if you're just talking about these receivers, and we'll put Brock Bowers into that conversation, I mean, they are tearing it up. We've got Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jags, who we just saw right here in Nashville, down in Nashville, and also saw up here earlier in the year. He's been balling this year. Brock Bowers setting records over there with that organization. Mm-hmm. Malik Neighbors with a obsolete New York Giants team, but he's been doing his thing. All of them over 1,000 yards receiving.
Throw in Ladd McConkey too.
Let's add Ladd in there. You're exactly right.
He's having
the Chargers.
the best statistical season a rookie Chargers wide receiver has ever had. Last week, beating Keenan Allen's record.
Yeah.
Dude, that is insane. I mean, that's why you guys, I always in the back of my head, I know there's so many positions that this team needs, but like, I want at some point a first round, really high caliber receiver for this team.
You want a
for
Brian
the future.
Thomas Jr. is what you want.
Yeah, just give me something. I'm getting jealous of all these other teams.
No doubt about it, man. Right now, according to Fox Sports, man, Jaden Daniels is the betting favorite at minus 20,000. So bet $10, you win $10.05. Brock Bowers, though, like if you went on significance and impact of what a player has done, those two to me are the ones. Brock Bowers and also Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels making that team +7 better at this point right now from where they were last year. You've seen, yes, he's had his turnovers, he's had his bad moments, but he's helped them have more good than bad. I feel like more than almost any player this year. Brock Bowers breaking that 63-year-old record.
That's wild.
Of course, that's big time in itself.
They're just not relevant.
They're not good. So how can you give NFL Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year to a guy that's on a losing team? I don't know if one makes sense to the other. So I think the hands down favorite in my book, and I think in the eyes of a lot of other folks, it's probably Jaden Daniels. Nobody expected this, considering he was number 2. This feels like an RG3 and Andrew Luck situation all over again right there.
I did pick him to be the quarterback that stood out this year.
You did. I got to give you credit on that.
I've been impressed with him too, and I'm with you, Ramon. I think at this point he is that guy. He has helped his team win games. Yeah. Point blank. And he's taken on, as a rookie, the leader role in that room. And there's other guys there, obviously, Scary Terry and all that. But
he's got a good base around him.
I kind of want to play with with Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, he seems exciting. Again,
right?
We'll see how next year goes, because again, his ability to freestyle in the pocket and make those off schedule plays, like I think we saw a little bit of that last year from C.J. Stroud. Right? Can he sustain and make that second-year jump? The guy that might end up having a better, I ain't going to say a better, hopefully he's just as good because the league needs him. Michael Penix Jr. waiting this long and getting this opportunity, will he have a better growth route than what C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels has, because he's waited so long? So the fact that his growth and maturity may be a little bit different, although those guys got a lot of experience in their rookie year. But real good group right there. I'm not out on C.J. Stroud. I think he's still that good. I do think more tape, figuring out how to be a better pro. And a lot of people was correlating his slump to him walking out of that softball tournament with Amber Rose.
I saw that on Twitter.
That's just me.
That was what, before the season started, or in training camp, I think it was?
I don't know when it was. It looked like he was leaving. I don't know when it was, but everybody's joking
it was before the season. I saw that on Twitter. I started laughing. Are you surprised, real quick, with all the hype that Marvin Harrison Jr. got during the draft? Like, you don't pass up on him. And I know it's his rookie season. It's not been bad. He has 822 yards receiving, but that team with Kyler Murray has not been good.
I wouldn't want to block for Kyler Murray. I ain't gonna say I wouldn't catch a football pass from him if I was a wide receiver. We were talking a little bit about Lamar Jackson on the break and just how he's evolved as a player. Like, Kyler Murray's been in this league long enough right now to where your pocket presence and your ability to stay in and deliver the pass has to be highlighted more. I watched that game this past Sunday, and I was thinking to myself, why?
Yep.
Where are you going? Now, he's an elite, top 0.5% athlete to be able to get out of bounds, make plays with his legs, and fake people out with the pass, but it's unstable as hell. So, yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. being the player that he is, I think is still there. It's his primary target and everything. But Kyler's got to evolve a little bit more. And I don't know if it's an issue with his height. And I say that in a non-joking way.
When I saw him in person, he was even shorter than I thought.
Yeah. Yes. And that's where maybe he's getting outside of the pocket a little bit too much. And it's only so much just freestyling you can do before you actually have to play the game. Like, I look at basketball players all the time. I remember we used to have the and one stuff back in the day when guys be dribbling and trying to cross you over and shake you. And like the people who were the vets will look at them like, have you scored yet? No, you have not scored. Like, that's where Kyler is to me, is like, screw the crossovers and the shaking and the pullback. Like, throw the ball, run the offense. I wouldn't want to block for him. I'll just put it right there.
That
means
that says a lot right there. And to whoever called in to cover 2 yesterday and suggested get Kyler Murray here,
he'd be exciting.
Oh my goodness!
But I think there's a ceiling
with this offensive line in this economy.
Yeah, it'd be exciting, but I personally would not want to block for him. Again, his skill set and ability to drive the ball down is there at times. But you don't know where he's going to line up at, or heck, if he's out of breath from just running because he scrambles out of the pocket quick.
Yeah. Jed, we'll get to your call coming up next. Hour 4 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. He's got a Rookie of the Year candidate that he wants to tell us about. Plus, let's talk about the Tennessee Titans, their final game on Sunday. Some news and notes from what Callahan said yesterday, including starting both quarterbacks. That's next on RKW 104.5 The Zone.
What's going on? 902. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Happy New Year. I am Robert Walsh. Lions pull back after a slow first half to beat the 49ers 40-34. Jared Goff finishing 26 of 34 for 303 yards, 3 touchdowns. On defense, Kirby Joseph with 2 interceptions. Lions move to 14-2 and are on a collision course with the Vikings in Week 18 for all the marbles. NFC North champion and the number 1 seed in the NFC will be decided in Detroit next week on Sunday Night Football. And in Titans news, Brian Callahan spoke to the media yesterday. He laid out the plan for the quarterback in regular season finale against the Houston Texans.
I'm actually going to probably play both of them, to be honest. Let those guys both have a chance to play. Don't know what and where that looks like. We're still really early in it, but I think both guys will have some opportunities. I'll let you know by the end of the week, starter, all that stuff. But I think both guys should play some football at the end of the year.
For every single one of your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5. I ain't waited a while. The Zone.
Welcome into Hour 4. That's right. Put those 4s up of Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on this fine Tuesday. It is also New Year's Eve. Driving you in, bringing you into the new year in a good manner. Alongside our 11-year NFL veteran, we've got Ramon Foster.
Yay.
We have Robert Walsh behind the glass, making it all happen. Will Bowling is out today. I am Kayla Anderson, and we're in our final hour. We've put it in cruise control, which can be a good thing sometimes. Don't take that for being lazy. We're just enjoying ourselves. We're getting ready for the new year. We won't be on tomorrow. We'll have the best of 104.5 The Zone and all the shows.
Yeah.
So enjoy yourselves. Be safe on this New Year's Eve. But good conversation about the Rookie of the Year that we just wrapped up in Hour 3. And I know Jed in Dixon wanted to get in on the conversation. What's up, Jed?
Hey guys, how you doing this morning?
We're good.
Hopefully we'll have a good Happy New Year here. Back-to-back fantasy champion here.
Ooh.
So I am doing fantastic this morning.
Nice.
How big of a pot? How big of a pot?
What's the pot?
It's undetermined right now because of fines from punishments, but we'll figure it out here in the next day or two. That's all I'm gonna say.
That is
but I think I'm up. I'm up.
I like
leave it
that
at
optimism.
That then. Say less then.
But I just kind of wanted to say, y'all kind of hit the nail on the head as far as my thoughts for Offensive Rookie of the Year this year in y'all's last segment. It should be Jaden Daniels, and I really don't think there should be any much other discussion about it, just because of what he's put on tape. And the team that he has, I mean, they're good in some places, but, man, some places they look a little rough, and this dude had to be a DAWG dog to get it done.
Yep.
So that's my guy. That's who I think. The only other one that I could see touching him is Lad McConkey, because that boy showed out this year, too.
Yep.
Y'all have a good day and have a Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Hey, Jed, thanks. Love it. Love the conversation. And that's the thing. A lot of these teams, when you're looking at a first-round pick, right, when you go with skill positions, when you hit on it like that, you hit big. You hit the jackpot, especially when it comes to that quarterback position. And that's now the territory that the Titans are probably going to be in. What do they go with if they indeed do have the first, second, even third round pick, which it looks like they very well could, Moan, in this draft? Because guess what? It does not look like Will Levis is going to be the future. Mason Rudolph could be a backup here next year. We don't know. But Brian Callahan has pretty much made it clear. I know on Sunday they're both going to play. To me, that means you're just kind of throwing those guys out there saying, hey, here's one last chance. Have fun.
Yeah, hey, y'all go ahead, man.
Yeah.
Before we go back to your mama house.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, it's but here's the thing about it, Kayla. As far as like Jaden Daniels, like definitely should be the rookie of the year. But he wasn't the projected rookie of the year.
No, he wasn't.
You know, it was Caleb, right? It was Marvin Harrison Jr. Those
Absolutely.
guys on the forefront of that conversation. Or the fact that Brock Bowers, like everybody was like you knew Brock Bowers was a top 10 talent. You know, but what kind of impact does a tight end have on the game?
That was the conversation.
Well, he's not Kelsey size. You know, he might be Kittle's height, you know, but like what is Brock Bowers in the NFL? Well, daggone it, he's showing us right now. And they got a guy for the future. Of course, they find a quarterback, you know you got a weapon in place. Like, and for the Titans to be right now top 3 picks for this upcoming season, how do you know what's going to work? Like, a lot of people are crapping on this quarterback class just in general. Like, this is a C-level quarterback class. Yes, they're first-rounders, but if you look at just the way the prospects are lined up, I saw somebody have Shador as the 15th overall prospect. I think Cam Ward as the 17th. Like, is that worthy? That's a long way down the list. So, when it comes to how do you pick a successful guy, like, this is where I'm at as far as, like, just overall just draft talk in general. What are you looking for out of your team? What guy is that for your squad? Like, I get selling tickets. I get, he's got a high. No. What works for your team, right? Because we're bragging and just wishing that the Titans could have a Brian Thomas Jr. He was drafted in the 20s. You'd have probably got the same.
And he was the second best wide receiver to come out of LSU.
Behind Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
So think about that, like the science behind what you're wanting your team to look like, especially picking in such a premium spot as top 3, where the Titans are right now, considering both quarterbacks are going to play, they should stay there. That's a heavy decision to be made. But again, the Raiders look like they made the right decision. Again, when you look at the way Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud's situation went again this year, I'm sure Houston's a lot, you know, they're a little bit more happy with what he's done for them as opposed to C.J. Stroud. Bryce Young being put on the bench for a little while.
Yeah.
There's no science to it.
No, there's not. I wish there was, right?
Not really. It really ain't.
There's not.
But Jaden Daniels is the MVP this year.
He is.
Rookie of the year.
Dude, I love watching him. And that, I don't know if you guys saw it on social media, but that moment, too, where Mariota came over.
That was huge.
Man, that's great.
A savvy vet.
Yeah, savvy vet. You got to love Mariota, right?
You got to love Mariota and having him around in those moments, man. That's where guys like him, and I always bring up Chase Daniels or Brian Hoyer, you know, those backup types. Right now, Flacco, right? And he
still up there with the Colts, yeah.
You need those guys around. That's what a stable team will do, is get you a vet like that understands the game in those moments. And Marcus Mariota yesterday really helped out Jaden Daniels. Like, hey, no, stand tall.
Yep.
Catch your breath. Go do that thing that God gave you the ability to do.
I thought that was a great moment.
It was.
So Callahan, like I said, he said he's going to start both quarterbacks. Both will play. He doesn't know yet which one will start. He said maybe we'll figure that out later in the week and tell us. D'Amico Ryans, though, head coach for the Texans, said, quote, everybody has to be ready to go, and that is where we are. Everybody will be playing. So don't look at the Texans right here and think that they're going to be playing their backups on Sunday when the Titans are wearing the Love You Blues.
They're going to be a little bit petty, too.
They're going to be petty, absolutely. By the way, Azeez Al-Shaair also back on the field on Sunday. He'll be playing up here against his former team. Obviously had that 3-game suspension.
Yep.
So other news and notes from yesterday's presser, Moan. Tony Pollard could be back. He's obviously dealing with the flu that last game, but he's also been dealing with that ankle issue just because he's had a lot of wear and tear on him this season. Because Tajay Spears is probably not going to play in the game. He suffered another concussion, which I hate to see because he was just getting the wheels going.
Also, for Tony Pollard, for the people that are hoping that the Titans lose this game, Tony Pollard should go, correct?
Yes.
Tajay's out, which means Tony's going to be the bell cow. A lot of folks want this Titans team to lose. There's just one caveat. It's Tony Pollard. You want to know why, Kayla?
Tell me.
Because he could be looking at earning more than $450,000 in incentives. He's got 982 yards rushing. He's 118 rushing yards short of a $250,000 bonus. At 5 rushing touchdowns, he's also 2 rushing scores short of a $200,000 bonus. He could also earn $100,000 more if named to the original AFC Pro. He won't make that one because there's Derek in front of him and potentially somebody else. But if he makes the Pro Bowl as a starter or as the original roster, he can earn another $100,000. So right now, he can legitimately earn $450,000. So I'm going to be real with y'all. Win, lose, or draw, I'm trying to go get that bread, okay?
No, absolutely.
That's
I mean,
where he is
sometimes that's the thing. They all have their reasons why they want to go out there and, play their best game.
Yeah.
It might not all work together, as we've seen with the Titans this season, but they all have their incentives in some way or another. I did want to, I thought this was an interesting question. I wanted you to get on real quick. Cousin Roger in the F&M Bake chat said, I have a legit question for RK-Dub. Is Peter Skoronski living up to expectations on his timeline? I'm interested to hear what you say real quick because I feel like he has grown this season, especially in pass protection.
Yeah, he has, especially in pass protection. I always tell you guys, it's year 3 by the time you start seeing what your offensive line is going to be. Offensive lineman is going to be. He's only in year 2. Last year was figuring out guard. This year he figured out, I need a little bit more bulk, and I need to be able to sustain the playing on the interior, the understanding of the position. Next year is where I hope his biggest jump of him being a savvy
year 3?
guy. Yes.
Okay.
Because if he doesn't jump out like most offensive linemen don't jump out like Quentin Nelson does, right? Or Marquise Pouncey was a first year or was a rookie all-pro in his first year. Like, there's those guys, and then everybody else got equal amounts of talent that they're able and capable of playing at a high level. Peter, I think, took another step this year. It's one facet in this game I want to see shored up just a little bit more, and that's on his pulls. He goes to sustain a block. I want to see him plow through folks because you know why? When he's meeting people at the end of the line of scrimmage and rolling them over, that's when those camera shots come up on those replays, and that's where that notoriety of Pro Bowl, all-pro comes into the conversation because people love a good offensive lineman that's a mauler. The reason Quentin Nelson became the dude, he dogs you out. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's another step into learning how to play the interior offensive line for a guy like him that he should make. And again, had a new coach this year, figuring out his technique. Next year, coach should release the leash just a little bit more to let Peter be a little bit more nasty and gritty. But yes,
I like
he's
that.
on track.
To both of your points about Peter Skoronski, last year he allowed 32 quarterback pressures and 5 sacks. This year, according to PFF, he has only allowed 3 sacks and 27 pressures. So 5 less pressures, 2 less sacks with a game to go.
Steps.
That is steps. And that's next to a rookie left tackle, too.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you this from the locker room standpoint, guys, he's a leader in there. I'll tell you that
He
much.
does.
And that's a good sign for that line that needs that, right? So that part of it, too, I feel like is coming together. So there's your answer to that, Cousin Roger. Great question there.
Great question.
Coming up on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, Ben Troupe. He never holds back. He always gives his honest opinion. He's a former Titans tight end. Interested to get his perspective on this season and what is the next step for the Titans. That's coming up on RK Dub here on 104.5 The Zone. Hour 4 here on RKW, and we continue to pump up the energy. I said we're sending you into 2025 with good vibes, and nobody has better vibes than our next guest. It is former Titans tight end Ben Troupe. Damn, man, we haven't talked to you since last October. Good to have you on the show. How you doing?
It's always blessed to be on with y'all incredible people. I like Ramon. I mean, I wish Tennessee would have moved on, but since they did go to the college football playoff, Ramon made the difference since his ball's been beat up on my Gators and making the college football playoff. Man, they say he be drinking tea with his pinky in there these days, man.
Hey, as long as it's sweet tea, it's passable then, Troupe.
Right?
Hey, look, we went into them folks' backyards, man, and got embarrassed. So we gotta reshape because y'all got a quarterback down there in Gainesville that folks want to play with them. Ooh.
Hey, listen, y'all got a 6'8" Polynesian man that can throw it 100 yards. So I mean, we got to deal with him too. So at the end of the day, listen, I can find a way to root for good people, man. Like I say, it didn't go the way y'all wanted, but I mean, that's still a step in the right direction. A lot of people would have loved to have been there. I'm not one of those people that be hating just because y'all lost. Y'all did make it, but y'all gonna be somebody to deal with. Because last time I checked, y'all got a freshman, we got a freshman, and we got to see each other every year.
So, dude, Troupe, it's good.
I'll give you guys credit too, Troupe, because I was out on Billy Napier. The way he rallied the troops and got this team to play together towards the end of the season, and then obviously, to end the season, I mean, hats off to him and that whole entire team. That was pretty cool.
It was, but if you look at any great coach, or I'm not saying Billy Napier is, but you look at any good coach that want to be great, the one thing that's tied to him is a great quarterback. We know who Lincoln Riley is because of Kyler Murray, because of Baker Mayfield, and obviously because of those type of players. When you look at a guy like DJ Lagway, you knew what he was coming out of high school, and 5 starts, 5 wins. I don't know, who knows? The best game, the biggest what if is what if he plays every snap in Jacksonville. I don't say Florida's going to win the game, but Georgia might have thought Florida would have won that game, but we'll take it. 8-5 with the hardest schedule in the country, with a lot of guys coming back, a lot of guys coming in the port, a lot of guys coming in the 2025 class. It looks good on paper right now, but everybody going to be stacking their chips, getting ready for them Gators, as well as them Gators getting ready for that schedule in 2025.
Ben Troupe joining us this morning on RKW. You can check out his podcast, 84 Reasons and No Fall Weddings, 2 great ones there. Ben, we didn't talk to you, like I said, since October. A lot has gone on with the Titans since then. What do you make of this season so far?
I feel bad for Coach Callahan, and the reason why I say it is this. Going into this offseason, I mean, Rand Carthon, former team, they had a lot of money to spend, but all money ain't good money. And just because you're spending it, I mean, but you spend the money to get DeAndre Hopkins, you let him go. Right. You don't bring back Derrick Henry. I mean, he's not going to get 2,000 yards, but people thought he had a lot. If losing a step is what Derrick Henry has done, I'll take a player like him any day of the week. I mean, Will Levis and Mason Rudolph wasn't what you wanted to be. Calvin really got paid a lot of big money. It's every first-year coach is going to struggle, but this AFC South is going to a team in Houston who they're good, not great. You had a shot to show a lot more improvement than you did. It's a lot to look forward to in 2025, but they're going to have to make some big strides. I know you got some big quarterbacks coming off the board, and Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders. I don't think they're going to be able to get one of those guys. There's a guy up there in Minnesota. I don't know if he's going to re-sign with Minnesota. You're going to have to get you a franchise quarterback in there, because if not, it's going to be much ado about nothing come 2025 if you don't make some additions, especially at the quarterback position.
Former Titan Ben Troupe with us this morning discussing ball, man, college and NFL. Troupe, I'll stay on the NFL side of things, man. When it comes down to this upcoming game, you mentioned the Houston Texans and Titans have to play. Right now, they're picking number 2 overall. If they lose, they stay at 2. If the Patriots win, they go to number 1. That's a prime spot, Troupe. What do you say if you've been in this situation as a player or as a coach that's got to decide, one, your future going into the next year, maybe getting your quarterback, or do you say, man, my job is to win football games? Which way does the scale slant for you, Troupe? Win or get number 2 overall pick, minimum?
The player in me wants to win, because you can't build a winning culture by losing to tank for a guy to get a guy. But also, we went 4-12. My first year, we went 5-11 my next year. So we did improve, if that's an improvement from year 1 to year 2. We get Vince Young in 2006 out of Texas. You got to get a quarterback. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. You got to get one. Now, is that going to be a rookie coming out of the draft? Or is that going to be, a guy like a Sam Darnold, that sort of type player? If you are the Titans, you got to win the game for the simple fact that, man, this is what you do for a living. Nobody told the New York Football Giants they were supposed to lose on Sunday. They didn't lose because Drew Lock said, I'm trying to play for my NFL future. So you want to win not just for yourself, but for the team because, number one, this is my livelihood. I'm trying to play for my future. And for the Titans, man, just at least try to go out on a winning note. I know it's about draft status, but at this point, you want to at least show that you are capable to beat the, quote, best team in your division.
With that being said, though, Troupe, too, coaches learn. You as a rookie weren't the same as you in year 2, 3, and 4. You just changed. As it pertains to how you evaluate Coach Brian Callahan at this point, man, how would you evaluate it? Because this morning for me, listening to his press conference, his back and forth on starters at the quarterback position. Now, again, me and you are not inside of those team meetings to decide, hey, this is our tank job. We just want to look like we're giving Will Levis an opportunity to strengthen his free agency too. Or you look at that and say to yourself, like, the decisions that have to be made, and most good coaches stick with them, no matter what the perception. How do you view him going into this next year?
I view him as a question mark for what you just said. If you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one.
There we go.
Backups come in when the starter has to play well, and they play for the rest of the season, not just back and forth. College, you can do the back and forth. NFL, that's not going to work. Coach Callahan, just like a player, he's growing as a head coach. He's never been in the position he's been in right now. I know he got his dad on the staff with him, but he's going to have to show growth because you know how it is, Ramon. You're dealing with grown men. And if those grown men in that locker room don't believe in you, I don't care who you are. You got to gain the respect of them and keep the respect of them for them to go out there and play for you. If you don't believe that's the case, that's why Mike Tomlin never had a losing season. An organization that drafted you, that you went out there and played for. You talk about a team like Detroit and what Coach Cameron and those guys have done this season. The best teams have coaches that are respected by their players. I'm not saying the players don't respect him, but I'm telling you, if the best we got, and I mean this respectfully, if the best we got is Will Levis and Mason Rudolph, that doesn't say to the rest of that team, man, you trying to help us go out there and win, especially when you're going back and forth with either or throughout the course of the year.
I told Kayla earlier, like, I like for people to be successful. I'm sure you're the exact same way too. But as a player that's got to go at the position we played, Troupe, within the trenches, bash my head up for 60-plus plays, and you want to play back and forth, to your point, I'm looking at you sideways at that point. Like, I'm just a crash dummy for you. I know I'm getting paid, but that don't matter when I'm in crash dummy mode for you at this point.
Yeah, and Ramon, with you play the position where y'all don't come off the field. At least I get a backup. I get a breather. You out there every single week. So a coach said something to me that I believe in. He said, if public perception and private conversation are far different, that's why your team is bad. But when they are the same in public, and what you say to your family at home should be similar to what you say to the media. When I got to say something different to the media than what I say at home, the reflection is in the wins and the losses, usually more losses than wins. And right now, for a team in Tennessee that's in probably the worst division in the NFL, and you still a bottom feeder, that doesn't give anybody confidence, because you know how it is, Ramon. You want your money, but I want to win. There's nothing worse than finally getting your money to be on a loser franchise in the AFC South where the best team has a second-year quarterback. I think the Titans should be much farther along than they are right now.
Ben Troupe, former Titans tight end, joining us this morning on RKW. So we talked about Brian Callahan, obviously. There are also, people who are not satisfied with what Ran Carthon has done in the 2 years that he's been here. What is your kind of temperature on Ran Carthon and the job he's done so far?
I think that what he did in year 2 was try to show that he's going to go out there and spend money, but the players got to go out there and perform. I mean, I think the thing about him is, while he's getting a chance to make decisions, I really, really don't know, like, if he's really getting to pick the players he want to pick, because he got some good players. Calvin really was a good picking, different guys coming over. But I think that when you think about Ran Carthon, just like a quarterback, we're going to see in year 3. Because year 1, hey, man, I'm trying to get a feel for it. Year 2, I had some money to spend. Year 3, let's go out there and make some solid decisions. So I can see, hopefully, we could, because they got to be competing in year 3. So I'm not going to throw him away yet, because he got a lot of, he got a lot of pressure on him. But hey, listen, man, he's going to have to produce a diamond come 2025, because this is a AFC South that is wide open.
when you look at the AFC South also, too, man, I remember talking at the beginning of the season. It was just like, man, as far as youth quarterback play in the league, well, what we thought Levis was going to be. C.J. Stroud had a little bit of a drawback, but as you said, they've already won the South, and this is his second year, and their second year in a row doing it, too. And then you look, of course, at Anthony Richardson. The prime, like, the spot that this division is in to take that next step, Troupe, like, the NFL is, if they don't get this figured out, is going to have a bad quarterback problem, a bad top end, bottom end of the, spectrum type of league. This has to be fixed. And I think it does, to your point, start with the Titans and hoping that Anthony Richardson and Indianapolis can get his quarterbacking figured out also, Troupe. The AFC South has to hold up their end of it.
They do. And being a player that played in the AFC South, I understand. The AFC South as a whole, it was only a media darling when they had Peyton Manning with the Colts or Andrew Luck with the Colts. We get it. Houston, the Titans, Jacksonville, we get it. It's not going to, but you have to want to be competitive as collectively, as a division, as well as, individually on your teams. And I just think that when you look at the AFC South as a whole, Anthony Richardson is athletic. C.J. Stroud got the hype. Trevor Lawrence got the money, and then the Titans got Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. I mean, if you're looking around the league, people not going to respect the caliber of play that they've shown. But if you are the Titans, you say to yourself, let me tell you something. We get the right players in here. We get the right quarterback in here. We get the right scheme in here. Not only can we compete in the AFC South, we can win it. Because ain't nobody scared of Trevor Lawrence. People don't know what's going on with Anthony Richardson. And C.J. Stroud, without his weapons, he's a good player, not a great player. I think these Titans, man, they got a shot to be really, really good. Because I thought that this year it was going to be C.J. Stroud and company. They going to win the division, but I don't think anybody's scared of the Houston Texans going into the playoffs.
Hey, Troupe, when it comes to, I know it's easy to kind of dwell on the negatives that we've seen from the team this season, but if you look at either the defensive side or offensive side, what have you liked or been surprised with this team?
I mean, I've still been surprised with their fight, though, because it's not like the Titans aren't in these games. It's different. Look, yesterday the Bills was winning 40-0. I don't against the Jets. Like, that's rough. Like, it's rough to have NFL. These are the best players in the world. At least with the Titans, you disappointed how they lost. Not that they lost, because you're like, dude, it was right there. It was right. So it's not a lack of competitiveness. It's a lack of execution down the stretch. Calvin Ridley is still a really, really good receiver. You still got a really, really good running game. Those guys on defense still play good football. It's just it's the X's and the O's when it comes to crunch time. So I've been really, really surprised with their lack of execution, but I've been really, really, pleased with their competitiveness, because it's not like they're just throwing it in.
You said something interesting there. It's not the fact that you're losing, because Vegas had them at the beginning of the season over under 6. You bet it the under. You all right right now, okay, Troupe? You said it's how they're losing. Troupe, where does that start at for you, man, as far as, maybe it's one score games or a special team. It's been popcorn, how they losing. What do you correlate that to, though, in your opinion?
I always go back to the buy-in, because once you start losing, then you try not to lose every game. You ain't going out there to win it. You're like, man, let's not do something to put ourselves in a position to lose. And no matter what, you're not confident who you got at quarterback. Yeah. You're going to go out there and play with them, but you ain't confident. And no matter what, the best teams know one thing is on. They say, look, if my quarterback is better than yours, we got a shot to win. If Jaden Daniels in the game, you think he can win. I only want to talk about my Falcons and what they didn't do, against the Commanders. It just comes down to, when you buy in, we can win on anybody. When there is no buy-in, we got to hope we win. I think for the Titans right now, they're going to be professional, because that's what they paid to do. But if the best players make life easier, because we don't got to do as much. Right now, the buy-in isn't there, because like I said, they are competitive. They ain't losing by 30 and 40 points. It just comes down to a fourth quarter. They need to make a play. And right now, I don't know if they believe in everybody on the offense, defense, and special teams to go out there and win it for them.
Speaking of which, man, it goes to the college side just a little bit. Troupe, we're seeing guys, man, get 7, 8, 9 years in college playing football. We see the portal and what it is. People were somewhat upset with Cam Carr pulling himself out of the second half when he got his record. I've conditioned myself quickly to just realize, love them for right now, okay? Like, that's the way it is when it comes to guys at your university. So I got to ask you this. Should there be a cap on how long a player can stay in college, considering you got kids that are 17 playing against 24, 25-year-olds? Where are you at on that one?
Absolutely. Because the thing about it is you already got high school players that got to deal with the portal, right? You got high school players now, they got to deal with players that's getting 5 and 6 and 7. Because here's the thing, the NCAA should not be rewarding players just because they come up with something to say, hey, man, I think his story is good enough and legit enough. Look, 5 years is more than long enough. Yeah. More. Now you're talking about 6 and 7, and what is the limit? I want to come back because I don't think my senior year was good enough. Or I want to come back because I didn't redshirt, only played one down my freshman year. I didn't redshirt. I played 4 years. At the University of Florida, I was blessed enough to do it. You got to think about the next step because here's the thing. If you keep on doing this, high school recruiting is going to go out the window. It's strictly going to be, man, we just pick from the portal and guys get to decide how many more years. I understand there are unique circumstances. It's not that many unique ones. Guys are just coming back because the NCAA is just saying, yes, NCAA need to grow a backbone, man. Show college athletics why you are still worthy to even have your position. Tell people, look, you've been here long enough. It's called, if you want to stay in college, be a grad assistant, become a coach.
Ben Troupe, who do you have winning the Natty for college football this year?
You know what? Georgia's a team that I cannot stand. I know they're going with the backup right now with Donna Stockton. And for those people thinking, man, you about to pick Georgia, absolutely not. Never in a million years will I pick Georgia. If it's ever been a year for Oregon to get it done, it's going to be this year because they got Dylan Gabriel. Dan Lanning came under that Kirby Smart coaching tree. He's got a defense. He got an offense that's going to be hard to stop because if they find a way to beat Ohio State and Georgia's got a backup quarterback, I know Boise got a running back, I know Notre Dame, they got touchdown Jesus. I'm going to go with them Oregon Ducks to find a way to get it because if the Oregon Ducks don't get it done this year, they are no more. They're really, really good football with a really, really huge brand with Phil Knight. And anybody that say otherwise is lying to themselves. I think Oregon got a shot to be undefeated throughout the course of the year and undefeated throughout the playoffs and win the whole thing.
Man, I'm
Truth
thinking,
right there, man.
Do it for Dennis Dixon, baby.
Yeah, right? Dennis Dixon.
Sir, yes, sir.
Do it for Dennis Dixon, who was on his way, I think, that year to win the Heisman had he not torn his ACL. Man, what a dude, though.
Ben Troupe joining us this morning on RK Dub. Always enjoy your energy, my friend. Appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
Make sure to check out his podcast. He's got 84 Reasons and No Fall Weddings. Always good stuff from you. Have an incredible new year, and we'll see you on the other side.
Appreciate it, Troupe.
Hey, man, listen, Ramon, I already told you, man, anytime you need me, you got me. I appreciate you guys having me. Y'all are the best out there doing it. People say, Ben, how do you do what you do? I say, I only rock with the best, man. Even if they rep that Tennessee Orange, we still cool people.
See? And I was just going to say, you ain't even invited me back on the podcast, but I get it.
Listen,
I get it.
When I get you back on mine, it's going to be the Ben Troupe podcast. It's going to be me and Ramon just chopping up about real life. We talk football enough these days.
Hey, don't tempt me with a good time, okay?
I think
That's
that'd be a hit.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Troupe. He has Ben Troupe, former Titans tight end, bringing the energy. If you're not fired up going into the new year after that interview, something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So
seriously.
appreciate him. And we'll wrap up the show coming up next year on 104.5 The Zone. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Wrapping up the show here on RKW. It's been a good one as we try to ease you into 2025. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh doing it all back there for us. We appreciate all of our guests who joined us this morning. Man, we had a whole show filled with guests. We had Stephen Godfrey, who joined us in the 7 o'clock hour. We had Austin Price, just heard from Ben Troupe. You can obviously listen to all of those interviews on the podcast wherever you get those if you were not able to listen to them. Happy New Year to everybody. Just got to say that first and foremost. It's been a great year with all of our listeners, everybody who joins us on the F&M Bank chat every year. We so much appreciate everybody who listens and chimes in. It makes our jobs so much easier. Heck, it gives us our jobs when it comes down to it, right?
We were talking a little bit on the break at the end of the last hour. Kelly, you got any New Year's Day superstitions?
Superstitions for New Year's Day. And I didn't before I married Travis, but he's like one of those that like don't wash your clothes on New Year's Day, those types of things. Yeah.
We're the exact same way. Yep. For the last couple of days, we've been cleaning the house, deep cleaning the house, because you don't sweep on New Year's Day. You sweep somebody out of the family. I was telling Bert about a couple of hours, too. Like, of course, it's the eating something green and black-eyed peas.
Yep, and black-eyed peas.
You do that, too?
That was the other one.
Look at Trav with a little Southern hospitality.
Oh, yeah, he's from the, Alabama.
Do you guys, you didn't have to say it like that. Have you guys heard of the eat 12 grapes tradition?
Oh, yeah.
So
you told us about that.
I started doing it. No, apparently this is a Spanish tradition. It's in Spain, not like Mexico or South America. But 12 grapes, eat them at the clock chime of midnight. And every time the clock goes bong, you have to eat another grape.
No.
So, and if you eat the 12 grapes by the 12 bongs, then you will have a lucky year. Guarantees you a lucky year. It's kind of like those things they used to send you, like, share to your 7 best friends, and you're going to have bad luck.
Yes.
That must be why I'm where I'm at, because I never sold those. I never shared them.
Okay, I might want to do this grape thing, because I love grapes.
Yeah.
So why not, right? You're technically, maybe you feel like if you don't have wine, you can just, eat 12 grapes.
One side of it, too. Yes, it is. But, yeah, the superstitions is black-eyed peas and greens. We're going to end up doing cabbage.
Okay.
So
sometimes it's collard greens.
Yeah, collard greens or something green and leafy is what you have to have. Another one was, and I was breaking this one down to Bert, but like the first person walking in your house should be a male with money in his pocket.
Oh.
So to bring you good fortune.
Okay.
So I'll tell you one thing. There's only one man walking in my house, and I ain't got no money.
Should we just ask Ramon to stop by all of our houses?
Hey, come on. Ramon like the grand poobah, New Year baby. Ramon coming around with a diaper on and a sash.
Exactly.
Hold on now. The money here, y'all.
Exactly. Mo's arriving in 5 minutes.
Hey, that could be a good hook, man. You can make some cash like that.
Tell you, me and my brother-in-law switch it up. He go to my house, I come to his house type stuff. So yeah, and I guess another one was, and again, this might be the olden days, but don't let the female walk in the house before the male. It's the one time of the year a male being the head of the house walks in before the woman does. The money in his pocket is supposed to bring you good fortune.
My dad used to have one too, and I don't know if this is real or not, so you guys got to tell me. He would always eat fish because he said that fish only swim in one direction. So you want to keep moving forward.
I've heard the fish one. Yep.
I've heard that one.
I like that one too. I could vibe with that one too. I like fish.
Yeah, it's the no washing clothes, no mopping the floor, no sweeping. Those are always on the top of the list for us. If you ain't get it clean before New Year's, you ain't. Also was another one too. Bad luck to carry the Christmas tree into the new year.
Oh yeah, and I'm kind of with that no matter what.
Yeah.
So, good reminder there, Moan, because I need to take down our metal one.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve for me used to be an illustrious day because I convinced myself that I could be the first one to do something in the new year. So there were multiple years that you hear like 5, 4, 3. And I'm in the bathroom trying to squeeze one out. I wanted to be the first person to drop a turd in the new year. And there's no way to keep track of that.
Dude, we started the show with freezing our farts, and we end it with you taking the first dump.
The first one.
See, now the problem is I got Cheyenne, so I can't be in there like huffing and puffing on the turlet because she's gonna want to get a smooch.
Want to kiss?
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean,
somebody else can be the first one to drop it this year. I'm sure I won it one year.
If she really love you, she'll wait for it.
Yeah, or help me out during it. You know what I mean? Come here, baby.
You got the push.
I wouldn't go in that bathroom for about 35, 45 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
Doug Fallon gave you a new middle name. He said, squeeze one out, Robert Montgomery Walsh.
Hey, I like that.
That actually flows real nice.
I can deal with that. I can
see you being a Montgomery boy.
Yeah,
I lived there for a little bit.
Where's that old Montgomery boy at? Somebody need to get over here and clean this front yard up.
I know it was him. They know it was him.
Somebody broke a window. It had to be that Montgomery boy.
Right?
Montgomery Walsh out here, man.
Oh, man.
Goodness.
It's been a fun show, guys. Appreciate you guys. Been a great year. Excited to start 2025 off on Thursday in a big way.
No
so
doubt.
appreciate all you guys. Appreciate our listeners. And we got a whole full day rest of shows. We've got Buck Rising and Lucas Panzica coming up next. But for everybody here, for all our guests that join us throughout the year, we appreciate you. And always, before we head out, we got to give Ramon the final 2024 words of advice.
I could do it. I'm going to do it anyway. Hey, see you guys next year. Get it? You like that?
I got
Everybody. Yeah. Listen,
I got it.
Seriously, you guys, listen, get you a ride share, Uber, whoever, a cab for all we know if they're still around in 2024. I guarantee you young folks out there, your parents will not be upset with you if you call them at 1 a.m. and say, hey, I need a ride. Call somebody. Now, y'all be safe on the road, man. Happy New Year. Y'all be safe and enjoy yourselves. But remember, Twitter fingers in your mic is always hot.